Hello and welcome to the Nen Show Podcast, the only podcast that now has an RSS feed. That's right, all other podcasts are canceled. The Nen Show is the only podcast that exists. I'm the co-host Mathwiz, here with the actual host, whose thunder I'm stealing, Craftsdwarf.
Hello, Craftsdwarf. How have you not, in like the year or two we've been doing this podcast, how have you not ever, like I say hello Mathwiz, have you ever even said hello Mathwiz once?
No, I have not. I don't think so.
I've been setting you up for this joke for years, and I'm the one who had to take it. I didn't even take it. Anyway, yeah, we have an alternate mirror for our podcast now, so you can listen to it on Spotify and what was the Anchor? That was the other.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can listen to it on Anchor, but that's where
it looks like it could link to other websites. I just have to go through to actually get it. So for now, it's at least on. It's on Spotify, it's on it's on Anchor. If anyone has any suggestions for other podcasting places, I can try to see if I can configure that. But everything's there, the whole backlog, everything.
Yeah.
We're a real podcast now.
Oh yeah, it was fine. I'll just, I'll do a little bit of uploading and then I'll get to the reading and it's like, whoops, I've done all the uploading because I've lost control of my life. So that was funny. But anyway, on to the comments. I fucked up. I read through them. I swear. There was a really good one by Hannah that was talking about, like, how all these characters have limits, they want it, the Faust wanted infinite magic, but, like, these characters are limited. Like, the Happy and Carla, they had these, this duty of theirs that limited, like, what actions, supposedly. And, the humans were under the exceed, and there was a couple other things they mentioned. I was like, yeah, that's neat. And there was more. I know there was more. There was some good ones, but I just don't remember them all because I wrote them down, and then I lost them like a fucking idiot. Did you have comments to respond to, Mathwiz?
There was an interesting one from Karabay 197, just about how, like, whenever, like, the town has to sort of, like, pamper Fairy Tail when it comes to guild arts, because, like, they just move everything out of the way when they could easily just move the guild outside of the town or something. But I guess, like, maybe the reason is, like, guild arts isn't around that long, like, he often just kind of leaves, so maybe...
Yeah.
I don't know.
He just kind of, and then even when he comes, he just leaves immediately, which makes it even, I guess, a little weirder that they go so far out of their way for someone who only comes in like once every few years, maybe.
But then I guess you could make the argument that, well, if he only comes in once every few years, it's not a very common hindrance on anybody's life.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it is. I mean, I guess they are the biggest guild, but still. And that's it. I don't have. Well, no, there was a comment. About. It was funny because it's like, warning, this is a long comment. I don't remember who said it. I'm sorry. And then but half the comment was actually about Naruto, and I was like, oh, okay. But it was an interesting observation about sort of like the journey. But so I'm not gonna go extensive because it's about Naruto and we're reading Fairy Tail.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the comment I had up in front of me, just because for the meme, they said, Craftsdwarf, when are the Bleach videos coming? When are you making the Bleach videos?
That was another thing. So it's like, yeah, it's been more than a year. Like we've read 2 series to completion since we finished Bleach, and oh no, that's right, because we started One Piece at Anime Expo last year, and Anime Expo this year has passed, and I still haven't started because I haven't gotten around to rereading it yet, and I've got other, like, I've been like, oh, I'll get to it, and then because I got to the One Piece ones first, and then I've just been like trying to get to it. I will next year because I already have enough ideas for this year. Hopefully I'll read it this year, but
man, I might actually make my One Piece video before you make your Bleach videos.
Oh God. Do you have any more comments, or?
I did just happen to see one catch my eye just because I think it's funny. It's like, 2 weeks till Tenrou. Actually, joke's on you. It was like 4 weeks because
Oh right, I didn't explain the delay. Yes, because first we were gonna do it, and then we just didn't have a day to record. Like, we were gonna do it on Wednesday, but like it was kind of a what if because I had jury duty on that day. And you were still moving in, basically. So I just said, there's too many what ifs, we'll postpone it. And then I haven't had a day off since that Wednesday because I didn't get called into that jury duty, but I had to displace 2 of my shifts on the next 2 days for the jury duty because they were like, oh, you're on call. And I was like, oh, no, we actually want you to come in the day after we wanted you before. And it was a massive pain in the ass. But we're here now, finally, at long last.
We have returned from the great hiatus arc, but we had a time skip. We had some progress. We got the feed, so
yes, not quite 7 years, but we're getting to that. All right, so finally on to the reading. Did you have any overall thoughts of this arc? Because I thought it was going to be way worse than it actually was.
I mean, like when we read Edalus, I felt like I was pretty positive overall. This one, I'm kind of falling back more to just like the neutral. Like this arc existed.
Fair enough. Because see, I feel like one thing I find because reading the volume releases like I have because before I was reading the fan translations, so I mentioned before I've had issues in the past because of bad translation. But not only that, but like there's the afterwards with Mash, like you basically have Mira Jane shitting on Mashima for his fuck ups, so it's like he has a level of self-awareness about it, like not enough to prevent it, I guess, but like he knows, he knows that like he's messing up, and he's taking it on, like he's admitting it basically. So I feel like I've heard that Eden Zero, I haven't read enough of it, is more self-aware, I guess, like in the story itself, and maybe it's more consistent too, like maybe he's actually addressing that issue. Maybe I don't know, what I read was just really boring, but it's also not super deep in, because Fairy Tail was fine at the start. It's like this is I mean Eration Seis was Eration Seis, and this arc was not, I don't know, I enjoyed it more than Eration Seis, but like it's still got a lot of weird Mashima fuck ups, I guess. So I don't know. I'm just used to it. Like I've already read the series. Like it's not that I'm not really noticing more, but I'm noticing more parts where I was wrong before. That's the thing. And I might talk about some things here, but I think I had something else to say about it. I'm just gonna get into the reading. So yeah, Lisana's back. The guild is happy. Oh, there's a bit with the council. They're mad about Fairy Tail being a Fairy Tail, and it's a new council, so they're gonna be even harder on Fairy Tail, and we do actually see some involvement in this arc. We also get a little tease as to our. What did you think about the Death Wizard before he was named? Like you were just like, oh, mysterious guy, or were you like, is this, could it be, or did you have a thought like?
No, I didn't think it was who it was.
Gotcha.
I thought it was just like another one of these, like, oh, here's a character who will be around for this arc, and then they'll probably be gone.
Gotcha. I mean, are they gone? No, they're not gone. It's fucking Zareth. S-class mage exams are coming up, so the guild's, getting pumped up for they're doing missions and shit. Kana's sad because she's been wanting to be an S-class mage, and but just building up into the stuff.
This arc was kind of weird as far as like Kana goes, because she almost. Because of what we've only ever really seen her be like the person who drinks and gets into fights and whatever. But this arc, she's kind of just like we see like a totally different side of her character. So she almost just is a different character in this arc, because like she's very
sober
reserved the whole time. She doesn't really
drink. I don't think she drinks at all. She's just she gets wasted, and Lucy saves her. The once.
Oh yeah, that's right. That did happen once.
That's about it. Like she is a very different Kana, because she's trying to do something instead of just palling around. I guess it's also because Guild Arts is there, and she has the whole thing with him.
Yeah,
so
that's yeah.
Like
sense.
So it's not just like when he's out, she could just enjoy the time with her guild family. But now that he's here, she's got that that not even a secret, just like a big thing that she's never told him. Just weighing her down, so it and of course, like her personal promise that, I'm gonna tell him after I become an S-class mage that, and then there's Mest, that, I always think that's kind of, like, I have complex feelings about him overall, for reasons I can't get into, but, like, it's kind of like he's just this character who's like, everyone's like, oh yeah, Mist, we all know this character, he's been in the guild before, but the thing is, he hasn't been, he snuck in through memory, so, and well, cause like, did you catch that, or like were you even like because again you said you were neutral on the arc, so I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that. Like Mashima always does like there's recurring background characters in the guild. Like after the time skip, we see all of them, like Max and Lockie. So I was wondering if you like were like, wow, this is a character we've totally seen, like that, because that's the thing. It's like Mashima literally like, hey, look, this is a character you guys should know, but he's lying. He's being a sneaky boy.
I mean, I think there are some of the background characters who are actual background characters who I don't always remember. So
true. Gotcha.
Yeah, it just slipped in under the radar for me.
You didn't care enough to react. I gotcha. I see. Or it is fairy tale. So.
But I mean, like, yeah, this wouldn't have been the first time that Mashima introduced a character who's like, no, they were always there.
True. Like, I'm trying to remember. Yeah.
Like the Raijin tribe.
Yes, that's right. That's a good example, because it's like, yeah, we just never saw them, and they were in the guild the whole time. Right. So that's fair. So, it was a twist, I guess. And yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I have complex feelings on him overall. But I also do like the kind of just the interactions as they sort of team up and into their S-class like partnerships, with the duos. I don't know, like. See, this arc, like, okay, because I'm also going to be going into my experience reading it back when I was first reading it, because, like I said, I dropped this arc multiple times, I dropped this arc once, and I also caught back up because of something that happened in this arc. The part, like, because I mentioned the time skip being a sore spot, but the parts that I dropped it haven't happened yet. Like, there's unresolved things from the time skip, I guess, but those happen at the beginning of the next arc, basically.
So we're not quite at the part that broke you yet.
No. I mean, like I said, I dropped it for like a really dumb reason, and I picked it back up in this stretch of chapters. But like the time skip is not fully resolved, and I did not like what happened at all, and I haven't reread it, so I don't know how I feel about it now. But like, see, the thing with my love-hate relationship with Fairy Tail, especially back then, is like because I'd already been disillusioned by this point. I didn't like Raishan Seis. And now I was, reading it weekly for a good while, but not particularly enjoying it. But this part got me, like, reinvested again. Because it's like, oh, it's not about, like, this world-ending threat. It's just goofy guild antics, trying to become progress with the S-Class Mage exam.
And then it became a world-ending threat.
Exactly. That bugged me, because I was like, why can't we just have, like, because if you think about it in the way of, like, we've talked about it with, like, the tonal balancing of arcs, where it's like, from Naruto even, which with the Kyubey taming, we had the Kage Summit and the Pain arc, which was all kind of dark, and then we had this goofy, like, levity arc before getting into the war. One Piece had Davy Backfight right between, like, Skypiea, which is, this heavy arc about tradition and God, and then Water 7 with the crew breaking apart, but Davy, and then, and of course Alexander's video on Hunter x Hunter, where he talks about how it goes back and forth. And so, like, and Mashima doesn't really do that, per se, like, not on an arc by arc basis, but like, here's the levity, and then we go into the more serious stuff, I guess, more or less. So it's like, but it's not even like it's only like 10 chapters of fun before the shit gets the Grimoire heart starts invading. So yeah, I'm not like just an observation, not a judgment, because it is, I just noting how it feels differently to me, because again, and this isn't the first time this happens, like, the next arc is really fucking long. It's going to be like 90 chapters, and you could almost split it in two, and for a similar, like, tonal reason, where it's like the first part is more fun, and the second part is the world-ending threat, because those aren't going to go away. Like, I remember complaining about it in the tirade, because it is repetitive. It's like, it's always just a bunch of, in that way. I mean, the arcs have their different ideas and stuff, to a degree, like... I'm not sure if this arc has a core idea, but it definitely has a bunch of, like, it plays around with it uses a bunch of ideas from the series in general, I would say. Though it might have, we'll talk about it as we go, but it does, I do remember being bothered by the repetition, in the past. So now, again, I don't care. I get it. I know. I don't care anymore. So anyway, the first test, which is the only one that actually gets completed. They're competing, you know, they treat it like a race for no real reason. And then they go down the paths, and each path has a different, like, goal, basically. So yeah, Lucy and Kana fight Freed and Bixlo. Do I have thoughts on this? Do you have thoughts on this?
It was kind of amusing how Natsu picked the E path, because it's like, oh, E for Urza. She's got to be there. But of course that wasn't.
Then, yeah, and then of course the reveal of who he actually gets. See, actually, you know, thinking about it, this is a weird section of the manga. Oh, there was an interesting comment. I don't remember who it was from. I'm sorry, because I normally write down the names. But, like, they were commenting on between Lucy and Natsu, and how, like, because Lucy's arc is about, you know, relying on herself, there's, like, more variety and more strategic victories with her stuff. Whereas Natsu is more about his emotions and feelings. Like, you know, he more typically wins just through the friendship power-up, or handout power-ups, like the Golden Flame and stuff. So it's a bit less interesting in that regard. But this is a rare moment where it's like, Lucy's fight is just like, you know, Freed and Bixlo were going easy on them you know, because of what they did in the past. And Natsu's got the more interesting character stuff going on. Because the Guild Art stuff I've always thought was interesting, even back when I was reading it, weekly. Though, like, at the time I was dissatisfied with how it went going forward in the arc, but now I'm more okay with it. So we'll talk about that. But, I don't know, I just realized that, and I thought, hey, this is rare, because they do it, they win, Free and Bixlo give up, more or less.
Now, I think the comment you were thinking of was Monster of Analysis, was the one who...
I think that was it, thank you, yes. Yeah.
And I only thought to look back at that, because I had also read over that comment, I was like, huh.
So yeah, I think one comment that made me, like, kind of scratch my head a little bit was, because Freed said, oh, it was any other team, I would have gone full out. And I was like, well, because, like, they caused a lot of trouble back in the festival arc. But I guess, like, maybe, because, you know, Juvia got really hurt dealing with, you know, with when they were trapped in the Jutsushiki and with Kana. And she, you know, she wanted to be accepted in the guild. So it's like, would he have not thrown the fight against her? But then, like, I think this is the only duo in which, like, both of the team members are, like, because, like, Bixlo fought Lucy, obviously, and Freed fought, you know, had a thing with Kana. So it's like, I guess I'm just trying to, like, explain, like, why just this pair, I guess, because, like with Gray and Loki, Bixlo defeated Gray and got beaten by Loki. So it's like, but Freed didn't touch them. I don't know.
Although you talking about Freed reminded me of so, like, at the end of that arc, Freed cut his hair and he had, like, short hair and he was, like, unrecognizable, but now his hair is just back.
Magic. I don't know. Or it grows fast. Maybe that's a good, because it would have been neat to see her with, like, see him, because it hasn't been that, like, I think. Oh yeah, that's. There was one of the volume end things, or bonus chapters.
It's been a year since I joined Fairy Tail, but actually it's been 6 months. And
see, that was really funny reading the afterword, because I think Mary Jane even said, like, wow, this is going to give the author problems later. Or Mashima said it himself. I forget where, if it was in the afterword or the question corner. But, like, well, because I knew about the time skip, so it's like. And Mashima someone was like, yeah, I just assumed it was going to be the same about a year after the story. And it wasn't at all. Oh, that's right. It wasn't, because Mira said, it's just a dream. And Lucy's like, we're really going with that excuse. That's what we're doing. So yeah, so, like, it would have been nice to see Freed with, like, something in the middle, like, just, like, a little grown out or something, instead of just, like, it's back all of a sudden. But, oh well.
Maybe he's just like Skihi from the Monogatari series, where the hair just kind of grows whatever. Although he's only ever had it this one style, it seems. So it's not quite the same.
So anyway, Natsu goes down the E path looking for Urza. He runs into Guild Arts. So did you have any thoughts on this fight? Because it has a different resolution that I think is kind of neat.
Well, I think, but before that, when Kana and them fought Freed and I don't remember what orders things happened in.
It was well, because like I'm skimming through and I just passed over, like we see the other like conflicts, like we see Juvia and Lisana versus Urza, Mira Jane versus Gray, and not the whole fight, but just like who ends up with who, and maybe it cuts away from the Natsu thing again.
Yeah,
I'm still
a lot of these
through.
like these earlier fights don't quite amount to much in the grand scheme of this arc.
No,
but there was a funny gag where like Lucy calls on Virgo and she does like her posing like vigilance
and saying her name
stuff,
or
and
spelling
then she
it,
just gets hit in the face with one of the puppets, and she's just like
dead. Just
as I was thinking of it in my head, she has the triangle face where it's just the two eyes and then the mouth, and it's just like
yes. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Mashima repeats the faces, and it's fun. I don't know. I don't mind it. Because there's also the one with like the really big round eyes, and where they're just like off. Like Free did it when he was like surrounded by all the hot girls, I think. And I also remember it back in Oration Seis when Wendy was getting taken, and she grabbed Happy on accident, and both of them just had that like round-eyed, like vacant expression of just like, oh fuck. That's what I remember seeing a lot. So anyway, now I think that's about all that happens between, because skimming through, like we cut away to see some of the other conflicts, and then it goes back to Gildarts and Natsu for the duration of their encounter. Because I definitely think this is interesting, but as usual, I want to give you a chance if you have anything to say.
Not entirely sure how I feel about, because like the takeaway from this fight is, I never fault anybody. Fear is not an evil. It's about knowing your own weaknesses, and but so like I don't know. I thought maybe there would be a point where it's like, hey, the characters have to realize you don't always have to fight. Sometimes. I don't know, but then like they just fight later.
Yeah,
because it's like, you have to know your own weaknesses and then just get stronger, like in the same moment. Which,
it's definitely like, because I'll explain it later with this, because I had to think about it, because this one has bothered me for literal years, exactly because it's like, even in that tirade, I talk about how interesting this moment is for Natsu's character, and then I go like, yeah, this moment it didn't matter at all. But rereading it, it makes more sense, and because it's like, again, the fan translation was really bad, so like I don't think it necessarily got all the little, because Natsu says something like, this is a different fear, or back in the fan translation he said like there are two kinds of fear, or the like and it makes sense the way I frame it. But actually, fuck it. I'll just talk about it here because it's important. I do this all the time.
Well, I know when Natsu had that moment later against the other fire guy, and he's like, "Oh, this is a different kind of fear," and then he gets all aggressive, and he's like, "This is the fear that someone else will gonna punch this guy before I do," or something. And I was like, "That's a little silly."
Yeah. Well, see, I feel like it's more like, so what's happening? Like, think about it here. Yeah, Natsu's afraid of Gildarts, but what is he fighting for? He's fighting to be the strongest member of the guild. Like, he just wants to be, because he thinks that'll help him find Neil somehow. Like, he's not fighting, like, for, when I think it's
so you're saying,
about
like,
this moment,
in this instance, he's kind of, like, fighting for himself, whereas
like,
later,
let's put it this way. This is the equivalent, back in One Piece, in Impel Down, the arc that was all about miracles and fighting no matter, fighting for what you value no matter what. This is basically the equivalent of Luffy trying to fight Blackbeard and getting stopped by Jinbei. This fight doesn't matter. Fight for what's important. Mm-hmm. So it's like Natsu going all out doesn't, like, there's no value in that. Like here, like
he can, it's one of those, like, you can't die here moments or whatever. Like,
yeah, and like, and that was the point that Gildarts was trying to get across. It's like he doesn't have to be the strongest and the best right now. He can fail, he can grow. Like, because there's a whole torch passing generational thing, with the young and the old. And so, but with Zankro, it was because Makarov was in danger. Like, if Natsu followed Gildarts' advice and ran, Makarov would probably be dead. And so Natsu wanted, that was Natsu fighting for what he valued. Like, I still think there's dumb things in that fight with, like, how he eats the fire is just really weird, and, like, what? But, like, thematically, I do think it makes, and there's another bit that I'll get into with all the fights. But there are two different fears. It's like it's basically a different exploration of that, like those parts in Impel Down that I was just talking about, where it's like, do you fight or do you not fight? Then the answer is, fight for what you value, and that in this arc, it's family. Like, they're not going to run just because they are, underpowered, they're going to fight because that's what's important, So even if they are, and even if they are afraid. So, because like at the end with Hades, like Urza was shaking, Urza was trembling. Like, think that she's like the strongest. So yeah. So I think it's more fine like rereading it and like reconsidering it. So, but we'll probably it comes up more again. So maybe I'll have something else to add later.
I mean, like, yeah, in the grand scheme of the arc, I think, now that you kind of put it that way, I think it makes sense. I still find the part, with the other fire guy where the fear is, like, actually not even fear. It's just like, no, I need to beat this guy up. I thought that.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I'll be able to see that in a silly way, because it's like,
maybe
he's like,
no, that's fair.
Just
that's
like the framing too. It's like, oh, I'm terrified of this guy, but no, he's actually, quote unquote, terrified of someone else. I don't know. It felt weird.
Yeah, no, it's like, I mean, you could see that as Natsu not understanding it himself, but it's like, because, yeah, I don't know, but I'll skim through that moment when we get there. But anyway, Mest and Wendy lose to Gray and Loki, and they kind of talk about Mest a bit, and it's like, who was his partner last time? And they're like, everyone's starting to notice the gaps in their memories, because Mest isn't real. Oh yeah, and Elfman and Evergreen won through, they told Mira Jane that they were getting married and caught her off guard. Weird, possibly dropped plot point. So I'm reading through, and okay, Wendy crying because she lost is adorable. She's so, I don't know, I've said it before, she's cute. But like, well, cause like Mess is like, hey, there's a huge secret on this island, let's go find it. And he gets this really, like, evil-looking look that's supposed to be like, look, isn't he secretly part of Grimoire Heart, right? But no, he's actually part of the council. But, like, thinking about it, like, I guess, like, as a council member, maybe he's, like, trying to dig up something on Fairy Tail, and he's like, oh, yeah, I got this, I managed to get this guild member to help me, or something, like, because it's just weird that he's, but, like, what if that's the case, what was the council looking for? Because they want to they want to see Fairy Tail get in trouble so that they can kick them out of the whole union of guilds. So,
and I mean, he obviously knew about Wendy's connection to Jalal enough to like manipulate her in that way. Which,
true.
Did he go after Wendy specifically? Was there a reason for that, or did he just happen to? Where did he get his information from?
Yeah. So, because that's actually, I'm trying to remember if that aspect was common knowledge. I mean, yeah, I found out somehow, obviously, so, I don't know, probably just like, he's trying to make us think one thing, that, oh, look, he's the Grimoire Heart guy, but he's not, because I forget what I thought first reading it, but, like, so, maybe, yeah, it's just kind of weird, but anyway, the teams who are victorious go off to, find the grave of the first guildmaster. Oh, yeah, that's right, Zareth encounters, Elfman and Evergreen and nearly kills them, but Natsu saves them.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think Zareth, he's kind of interesting in that he, at least as far as his character design goes, he doesn't look like the typical Mashima villains we've seen. At least from what I remember, maybe my memory is just bad. But I remember, like, Rave Master and kind of earlier on, like, the characters are usually more, like, a little more outlandish, or maybe they're like bigger, or they look older, like you've got the like Hades with like the giant beard and the sinister looking face, but this guy he's kind of just an unassuming pretty boy sort of looking
he doesn't
dude.
Get like even at the end of the arc when he's mad, it's not like he never gets any of those sinister looks on his face that are so common in his smirking evil bad guys, because he really does like to use that kind of personality trope in his villains. So, but Zareth is, I guess, that Zareth is a pretty different villain as far as Mashima's antagonist goes, for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Zareth is a sore spot with me, and I gotta reread a lot. Like, he seems, just judging from this arc, he seems fine. Like, though there are some weird moments, like, because no, I remember things. The key to the seal. Remember, they don't matter at all.
No.
So Jalal's life was Urz's life. All these like no, they wanted it's like, and then like, so not only was our system for nothing because Zareth was never dead, but the keys to the seal were for nothing. That fucked up the tower even worse for Jalal. Also didn't matter. I'm like we don't even know what they are, what they're supposed to be. Like, are they literal keys? Are they just magic items that are supposed to restore his memories or wake him up? So,
yeah, but then there's also just like, if Zareth was never dead. There was the one panel with the quote where the guy is like, I hear he lost his reason when he was possessed by the ghost of Zareth, even though Zareth is still alive. And it's like, well, when you put it that way.
Yeah, basically. Well, of course, that was just Ultir. But like, yeah, it's because what seems to be the case with Zareth, like, I forget if they explicitly state this later, but like, the cult of Zareth, well, I guess it feeds into what Hades, like, because at the end, Makarov talks about how, like, magic is how you see it. Like, it can be red, it can be blue. And what Hades saw in magic was darkness. And he also kind of applied that to Zareth. Like, he's putting these ideas on Zareth and following this, even though it doesn't really represent Zareth at all. And so it's like, I guess it's because of, like, I don't know what information about Zareth led to these misunderstandings, but they basically kind of, like, appropriated Zareth for this darkness and whatever that isn't necessary. Like, yeah, he has the curse of death, but he doesn't like it. Like, he completely disagrees. Like, at the end, he says, like, Hades you're like he said something specific. Let me see if I can't find the line. You might remember, but like, it's okay. That's what he said. It's people like you who made me, what I am. So it's like, he has clear disdain for Hades for some reason, like, or people like Hades for some reason. So it's like, you know, all these dark guilds that worship Zareth have, you know, are just completely disconnected from him. So, which is kind of an interesting idea. I forget if it does anything, like, how that resolves, because it's like, you have all these guys who are worshiping someone who doesn't represent what they really are. So, and yeah, Zareth is very different so.
Yeah, so right now Zareth is just kind of this mystery. We don't really know much about him.
Yeah, but he knows Natsu, somehow. But anyway, so, because Zareth is on the island, Grimoire Heart is coming, to find him. They're a bunch of weird idiots, because of course they are. It's, all the bad guy groups are like that, that's fine. Lucy gets an idea of where the grave might be. Levi and Gajeel have a bit of a fight. Okay. This fight was a bit of a sore spot for me. There was some I don't know, because it's like, I remember bitching about this fight for power scaling reasons of all things, because it's like, these guys are mooks.
Yeah.
They even say, so he fights two mooks, and like, he's out of commission for the entire arc, and he had help from Levi too. So I bitched about this because it's like, I was like, oh, he's supposed to be a rival with Natsu, but he's so much weaker. And there is a point that contradicts what I think what the fight was supposed to be going for, because like later on we find out that anyone with a guild mark gets the power boost of the island, because the island, it's Fairy Tail's home turf, so it makes them stronger, and is part of what allows these young characters to keep up with the Seven Kins of Purgatory, along with one other thing. So it's like, but like, so, and that's kind of what the fight is it's like Gajeel coming to terms with him being that's a whole, like, he has the flashback with Makarov where it's like, you know, you need to choose your path. And now he's like, I think this is a little different from his early encounters, I guess, like, cause he does defend Natsu with Laxus, but he was being like more competitive with Natsu and fighting and stuff, in just kind of like, but with here, he's like really defending Levi. He's defending a guildmate, and he says, I am a fairy tale wizard. So it's like, how I kind of read it is that like, he didn't get the power boost until he recognized that he was a fairy tale wizard, which, like I said, is kind of directly contradicted later when they mention that all characters have the mark get the power increase. But like, I don't know, it feels right. So it's like, Mashima forgot, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
like,
because
it is possible that like he just didn't think of that at the time. I don't know.
Yeah, so the power up from the thing. I mean, because like that's the thing. It still kind of makes sense in considering that, but it's just the fact that it's he should have had it by later information, but apparently didn't. Or it's weird that he again these guys are supposed to be weak and he's struggling with them, where the rest of his comrades, like, I mean, it was 2 against 1 and they were also 2 against 1, except they were the 2, like, because that's a kind of thing, is that, like, basically everyone except for Gildarts, who's the old generation, like, all the younger, weaker ones win with, like, multiple people. Sort of. Like, it's a bit more abstract in the cases of Gray and Urza, but, so, it was just it was a common trend.
Yeah, I did think that was a little weird with how this arc kind of shifted from this fight and then some of the later ones where it's like, oh, we have these groups of multiple people, but they're getting beaten up by one person, but then actually they all devolve into one-on-one fights.
Kind of. Because a good example is with Merudi, because she was fighting Juvia one-on-one, but then through the, like, mind link thing, she added Gray to the fight, you could say. So it's like now it's no longer exactly a one-on-one, in an abstract way. And Urza's is even more of a stretch than that. But like, cause, she's fighting they were protecting me, and like you have the spiritual thing. Like that one's like, but, I mean, maybe she is an S-class mage, but she's also a kid, so I'm not sure what if that was maybe that's the distinction, because she is a younger one, but she's also an S-class mage, so she's already kind of proven herself. Because Gildarts was, again, he was the only one who won like truly one-on-one, and he's like, he's the old guard and S-class. So, yeah. Oh, because like with Natsu, Makarov was helping because he held Zankro down while and got his hand burnt. Remember? So it's like, I think they all won with multiple on one person, except for Gildarts and Urza, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I guess.
So
yeah.
Kinda. Like, again, it's a little iffy in some regards, but it's almost there, and that's, which is fair to say about Fairy Tail. It's almost there. Like, you can kind of see the idea, but it's like you have to like think about it. I guess. Like, that's why, like, because it's like I was like that tweet, the meme tweet I made, where it's like trying, like, because there's like, it's just, you need like just little fixes, and suddenly it makes sense. Like, I think a couple episodes ago, I had this one idea, I remember, where it's like, it's just a small change, but it makes it work a little better. And Mashima just needs a really good, like, an editor who actually, like, thinks about the story, maybe. And maybe he has one with Maiden Zero, maybe it's more consistent. I don't know. See, because, like...
He needs a co-author.
Yes. I'm open, Mashima. Just give me a few years to learn Japanese, and I'll you can do the art, and I'll do the writing. I'm open. I legitimately would, obviously. But that's, of course, a far cry.
Well, anyway, in this fight, there was a really cool looking, pretty metal as fuck panel where, like, Gajeel has this, like, sword go through his arm, like, all the way back, like, through to his, like, shoulder. And then he just, like, grabs the blade, and he's like, "Now you're mine," or something. It's because it's interesting, because it's like that Kenpachi moment in Bleach, but it's like, it's through his entire arm, which makes it, like, more painful to me, because it goes down the entire length of it, and I'm like, ah! So, but he does it, and he's just like, holy, it's cool. But yeah, that was, it's a fight, he wins, Oh, and of course, there's the bit where Levi gives him the iron as she runs off, and it's got the O is a heart. So, shipping. Yeah, I mean, I guess it was kind of interesting that, because this was also, you talked about Gajeel kind of fighting for his place in Fairy Tail here, so to speak, and so with his... Like, with the pairing with Levi, it kind of wraps back around to that first. Obviously, Levi was one of the people he... So, yes. Like, there has kind of... Levi has been part of his character arc in a way. Like, first he attacked her and her friends and hung them up in the tree, but...
Then because, like, she was the one more willing to forgive him, because it was Jet and Droy who were, like, pissed off and trying to attack him.
Yeah, and then
but
the
that
Laxus
whole thing happened,
happened. And...
Right.
Yeah.
and he's been more or less redeemed since then. But this is still like him, kind of except he's a fairy tale because he's also a double agent, which has not come up since
no, it hasn't.
the festival.
Not yet, at least. I hope not yet.
Now I'm remembering it from later. Oh God. We'll get to that. We're getting there. We're more than halfway through. We only have 4 episodes left. Though 2 of them are going to be really long reading. So, oh God, we're almost out of hell, Mathwiz. We're almost free. So anyway, Levy warns Urza, and they get the message out to the group that they're still, they're under attack.
Oh yeah, the other point I was gonna make that I was kind of going off of with the Levy thing, the characters who get brought in for this arc are sort of interesting, but it feels kind of like missed potential. With Levy, and Kana had her arc, but this didn't really feel like a Kana arc.
Yeah, it was more like
Levy was there, Lisana was there, Elfman.
Yeah.
So you'd think here are all these characters. Here they'll get a chance to really do something and really shine. We'll make it to learn a little more about them.
Yeah, we can't. I mean,
they're there.
Relatively speaking, I would say we have more of Kana than any individual guild member.
Yeah.
But it is like a very except maybe Natsu, because he got the moments with guild arts and stuff. But other than that, it's like and I guess Gray had some, but it definitely, Kana was definitely the most. So it's like, again, I was about to compare it to Phantom Lord, where it's like, it was a Lucy arc, but it also had the kind of episode of Elfman within it, where we get more context with him and Mira Jane above most of the other characters. So, yeah. Because that's fair. Because, again, there are a lot of characters, and this fight is basically to sideline Gajeel for the whole thing, because he's out for the entirety pretty much. He got fucked up, and so yeah, a lot of these characters are out of the Lisana does help later, I'm pretty sure, in one fight, but against the Rusty Rose.
She does help, but I don't know if it.
Yeah, that was it. Again, this is a character. Yeah, no, I'm not. I agree. It's just they barely do anything, or she barely did anything, and yeah, there's not a lot of character take. Levy had this moment here, and that's kind of it. Wendy, she's cute, I guess. That's all she's good for.
She's the support character. She's there to heal people and give them a boost in battle.
Right. So it's
she's there
that's
the
the last character to sideline. Again, Aracion says was her arc, but it barely felt like her arc at all. And I was like, but I mean, it looks. I mean, I guess to say about Wendy is I remember reading in some of the afterwards is Mashima He made her more important because she was popular. He said that about Levy too. People like Levy, so I'm going to use more of her. So it's Wendy wasn't designed to be a main character, I guess. She kind of became one. And as a result, I'm tempted to say she's the weakest of, if you see I don't know if you see it as a cast of 5 or 6 with Gajeel or not. But it's she's the weakest. Oh, she's above Happy, maybe.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem if I have to add a maybe there, because Happy's moments in Adolis, I'm what does Wendy have at that level? Happy's more annoying and less cute, but oh God, poor Wendy. Because that's all she's cute. That's it. I'm sorry. I wish I liked her more.
I mean, it's not like other stories haven't had characters who got more screen time or supposedly got more screen time for being popular, but you can make that work. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head. The only one I'm thinking of is Hitsugaya from Bleach, and Kubo didn't really make that work too well, but he tried, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are other examples within whatever that there have been popular characters who got more screen time but got more of a character arc and were actually fleshed out more.
I mean, I always wondered if that happened with Law in One Piece, because he was number 9.
He was up there
he appeared in Sabaody, he looked aesthetic, he flipped off Kid and had a cool power, and boom, top 10, or maybe it was just 11. Or maybe he was.
What,
I forget.
wasn't there
But he
a
was
part
super
where he was
popular
like
from the
number
beginning.
2 or something?
That was after.
That was
after
after
Dressrosa, where he was like incredibly relevant. But it's like, so I'm wondering if I mean, it's so perfect that maybe it was already always in the plans, and he just happened to be the most popular of the worst generation alongside Luffy. But like, it's maybe that popularity did influence that decision, and it turned out really well. If that is the case, like that's the thing. It turned out so well. It makes me wonder if it was already planned, because he was the one who saved Luffy at the war. Why? Because Luffy was a D. Law valued the D because Corazon valued the D.
I mean, there is also like just the trick with One Piece where like supposedly all of the worst generation were kind of like conceptualized because an editor or whatever was like, hey, we should have
which
more
apparently was overstated. Like, I've heard that was overstated, where it's like he had these ideas already, he just like included them in the arc because of an editor. Like, he was just originally just going to introduce them in the new world, but the editor was like, hey, rivals, and he's like, oh, I got these rivals, let's just throw them in. So it's like, and that makes more sense. So it's because it's like he already had these ideas in now, and it worked really well doing that. So it's like, because you get all these cool guys with these crazy designs and powers, and they added to the arc, I think. So, but anyway, we are way off topic. Let's just talk about One Piece again. Let's just reread it. No, Wano eventually, and it's gonna be like a year or so for Wano. It's out of 5 acts, they're only in Act 2 still, and I have no idea when it's going to end. Just Act 2, let alone 3, 4, and 5. Anyway, so yeah, moving on from the fight, Panther Lily and like Carla arrive, and they focus in on Mest because he's a weirdo, and Panther Lily figures out the memory thing. Oh, and I forgot about that moment, because Mest it looks like he's gonna kidnap Wendy, but he actually like saves her from Azuma, who is attacking. And you get like a moment like this happened in Oration Stacy, remember? Because like Blue Pegasus is like, look, our ship, it's coming in, and then it like explodes immediately, and you have like, oh look, a council battleship, and it explodes immediately. Yeah. Just reusing like the exact, like, it's just, I don't know, something about it was because it's just like it gives me the vibes of, hey, Yamcha's here. Yamcha's dead. Like, it makes me think of that. Which is like, it's not intended to be a comedic like beat, but it feels like one because it's the exact same beat as that. So
I feel like this is a trope though, where it's like, help is on the way, bang, help is gone.
I guess so, yeah. See, I'm wondering for me, it's like the immediacy of it, because like I just thought about Commodore Purin from the Arlong Park arc.
Oh yeah.
Who was like but it wasn't immediate. Like, that's the thing. It wasn't, I'm here, I am Commodore Purin, and I'm here. It was a few pages of like explaining like how the fishmen destroyed him, basically, and it was a bit less funny for that, maybe. So maybe that's just my personal feelings, but it's like that just because I just thought of that example. I was like, but this one's a little different.
Although there is
so
kind of back to talking about One Piece again. There was kind of a hilarity in that, where like the character goes from like, oh, in shadow is important, to bang and done away with.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, because Purin got shot and he was on the grounds, or if you talk about something different.
No, yeah, I thought he got shot, and that's what like got.
He did get. Yes, that's right. Chu shot. Yes, that was a little funny.
But it's more of just like he gets the shadowy, his face in shadow. He's important, but not really.
Yep.
Subversion of expectations.
So anyway, Makarov prays. Oh, sorry, I just jumped away back to the discussion.
It's for the best. We're supposed to be talking about Fairy Tail anyway. So anyway, but yeah, Makarov goes to pray to the gravestone of Mavis Vermilion, before going to fight Grimoire Heart. And yeah, the Seven Kin are on site and starting to fight. That's right. No, just Azuma, and he's okay. I gotta talk about something though, because I think I mentioned this before, and it's like, it's fine. But it's also, what confuses me is like how this was gotten across, because I didn't look at the original raw manga. Because did I talk about Ultier's name before? Because I know I complained about it, because it's like, oh, this is a mistranslation. Yeah. Did I ever talk about how like I realized I was wrong, or have I done that yet? I don't
or is it
remember.
Okay, but before, I was like, oh, this is mistranslation. Her name's supposed to be, daughter of, or Tyr, daughter of but she calls herself Ultyr, so they mixed up the L and R. But, like, that's, like, a thing, because it's, like, she calls herself Ultyr because she rejects Like, so it's, it's meaningful, but it's, like, what I don't understand is, like, how this was gotten across to Japanese audiences, because it only makes sense in English. Because apparently the katakana are written exactly the same. It's just the uru, or, with the, so it's like...
Guess we better go check out the anime and...
I'm curious as to how they got, like, it's and it's also weird in English because, like, back when, maybe that was a mistranslation, where, back when Jalal was talking to, Ultyr, because he said, Ultyr, tears of which doesn't make sense unless he's doing what Merudi got called out for doing and calling her Tyr, because that's fine, like, because maybe that was what was really originally happening. She normally calls herself Ultyr, and, Sieg, or, it would have been Sieg at the time. He basically revealed the name drop. Oh, you're actually Tyr, daughter of but I don't remember her getting mad about that, or maybe it was more reserved because it's Sieg, and she's trying to be nice to him because she's acting the pawn when she's really the leader of the Seven Kin of Purgatory. So it's like, so maybe that was a mistranslation back in Galuna, and now it makes sense. But that doesn't answer my question of, like, how did Mashima get this across in Japanese when it's something that is a very common knowledge to not be something that's hard to get across in Japanese, the LNR thing. So... I'm not complaining, I just think it's interesting because, like, I get it, but I speak English, so... Yeah. So anyway, Makarov gets huge, he gets swole, it's interesting, because, like, against Jose, like, Jose was a joke, so I think this is the first time Makarov's, like, he was really mad at Phantom Lord, but this is him, like, seriously fighting, like, in a different way, so, that's neat. See, it's also like, it's kind of neat because, like, they flash back to Makarov becoming the third guildmaster, and then we find out during the conflict that the second guildmaster is Hades. It was I don't know exactly how to pronounce it because I've only read it, but Purehito or Purehito, I don't know which one. So yeah, I don't know. Did you have any thoughts about this conflict or Makarov getting wrecked? Because the poor dude cannot get a break. Like, getting defeated is, like, what he's here for.
In these arcs, normally he either gets sidelined for, like, oh, I'm aging, sudden heart attack. Or, like, in this case, where he just, nothing for him.
Well, in this case, like, it makes sense, I guess, because it's, like, maybe because, Hades, like, he's got, well, because, like, Makarov tries to use fairy law, but no, like, Hades literally came up with a counter magic because he knows how powerful it is.
Yeah. Well, compared to the Laxus thing, where clearly Makarov was just written out because it would have been too easy for the character, it would have resolved the conflict.
Right. Well, it would have, right,
there's
exactly, because Laxus wanted to fight Makarov.
Like, a theming reason for it, because it's like the new generation stepping up and taking out the older people, the predecessors. Right. So
there's
kind of an extra reason for Makarov to not be around, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, because like,
fear and stuff.
Makarov, like, Hades, like, I don't think it's very explicit, but he's like, he kind of like puts himself above his guild in a way, like, or wait, what was, like, that's right, I think, what was it? Zancro was, like, calling him, like, oh, I guess, if, I guess if you could call Hades a god, then I got my powers from a god. Like, he's not
and then there was also
dismissing the
line
idea
where he's like, oh, wow, I can't believe I have to lower myself to take care of foot soldiers or whatever. Because all of his...
That's true! I didn't think about that, because yeah, when you put it that way, he's like, yeah, the seven kin are lower from him, therefore it's fine for them to fight the foot soldiers, but Hades is like, oh no, I gotta step down for this. So it's like the only one he recognizes is Makarov. He doesn't care about the next generation, and he's literally like, he's like this guy should be dead. Like, Makarov's old, and this guy was old like 40 years ago, so he's like using magic, like he's got his heart separated from his body and such, which is very blatant. He literally lost cut himself off from his heart and fell into darkness. Very literally there, Mashima Asha. No, it's fine. But like, yeah, so it's when you think about it, like, because Makarov wants his, his children to grow, like, of course their combined efforts would surpass Hades, because like they're all, Makarov wants them to surpass and grow, where Hades doesn't care, and he wants it all. He's that stagnant father parent figure who just can't leave, like Yobak or Kaguya and Madara, maybe common Thanos, to go over to the Marvel movies, because he's similar. But it works in this case. This is now you mentioned it. Yeah, this is probably one of the better. And this isn't even the end either. Like, it's not like, well, no, it never was the end. Never mind, because I was about to say, like, oh yeah, back in the festival he got the heart attack, but no, he came back after that. Like, it always comes back at the ideal moment to sort of swoop in. But that doesn't really happen in this arc, actually. Except he gets some words at the end with Hades after the defeat, I guess. But he doesn't do anything himself until Acnologia. But yeah, Hades wins. The rest of the guild is fighting the mooks. Oh, and then now we get the Zonkro fight. Oh boy. I kind of already talked about, like, the main conflict, I guess. But I can bitch about the dumb stuff, too. Oh yes, and we do also find out Hades' motivation. He wants to find the one true magic, which is, I guess, like, I guess going into, like, magic is what you see of it. Like, he's looking for this, like, one true ideal. Like, Ultir, at the end, she was talking about how she wanted to be able to, like, to use the Arc of Time to go back and make up for her mistakes. That's what she saw the perfect ideal world as. That was what she wanted. So it's like, they all want a desire, I guess, maybe. I don't know what most of the other guys want, because, like, Rusty Rose can already make whatever he wants. He has the power of an imagination, so it's like, I don't know. I didn't get much out of his stuff. Azuma kind of just wanted to fight, and he got one, and then he became a tree. So anyway, Natsu and Zonkro fight, and Natsu gets the shit beat out of him because Zonkro is powerful. But then the fear thing comes up that I already talked about.
Yeah, it was like another one of those fights where there were a bunch of characters involved, and they all just get sort of, like, wasted. But then Natsu ends up taking him out by himself. Well, not by himself, because Makarov was there, but...
Yes. Yeah, because, Makarov does keep Zonkro there while Natsu figures out how to win and then wins. So it was a team effort, even if... like, Makarov's help was small, but it wasn't nothing. Because, like, Levi even says it outright later, because, like, everyone was still divided into teams, but they need to, like, remember that they're still a guild. They need to work together. And, like I said, pretty much all of the guild members win through some form of unity, even if it's not direct. Like, it's most direct in, like, with, like, Fried and Bixlo taking out Rusty Rose with Lysana and... Shit, I forget who else helped them. If it was Elfman or Mira or both. And then, So yeah, there's just a lot of general, and of course the Hades fight with everyone against him. So just a lot of unity in general. But yeah, there's a bunch of fighting that kind of, like, hyping up how strong these guys are. Mira Jane gets defeated.
Gotta get the death fake out. Ah.
What would it be without? Would it really be a Mashima work without a bunch of death fake outs? Oh yes, like, you had a particular one that you had to, like, you call out. During the Hades fight with Wendy, remember? Where it's like, gotta have those end of the chapter cliffhangers no matter what.
Yeah, it was really weird because, like,
yeah,
she could have just disappeared entirely or something, but it's like, no, she specifically got saved in a way that, like, she was pulled out of her clothes. It was a really bizarre,
which doesn't make
end
sense
of chapter
because, like,
cliffhanger, because that's not how I don't think that's how the thing even works. Like, oh, no, it was an emergency, so only the victim. What? But wouldn't it cause more, like, work to somehow grab her without the clothes? I don't understand, Mashima. What are you doing?
No, it's worse because, like, this kind of thing, it kind of happened before with the Dolus. Remember when Anima sucked in the whole city and Lucy was saved by Horologium?
But she
didn't end up naked.
No.
I don't think. Unless Horologium came sooner, like, before it happened, which isn't quite the same thing, but, like,
Yeah, see,
I
like
don't know.
it was like maybe there was like a dual purpose to it, like because on the one hand there's it looks spookier if a pile of clothes just dropped to the floor and there's nobody
Yeah.
there.
Well,
And
like
it's like what kind of magic did he
I
use?
think that's
So it's the end of chapter
yeah.
cliffhanger.
It's like yes.
But then I'd also thought like, is it like a tone thing? Like, are we throwing in a gag to show that like,
Maybe.
hey,
I
the fight
think-
is nearing the end and hope is not lost? I don't know.
See, if I had to guess, I would say like okay, like think of like the emotion visual. Like, how do you get across that a character has literally vanished? Like, you draw nothing. Like then like there's a risk of the emotion being lost because the audience sees like characters looking at nothing, and then they're like windy. So they have like there's more time taken to process what has happened. So it's like, and that would risk interfering with the emotions that Mashima wants to get across. But if he draws the vanished clothes or the clothes and the with Wendy gone, it's much more apparent that Wendy is gone,
See,
like immediately.
the shell of what should be there, as opposed to just
So
nothing.
right. So you have that the immediacy of your reaction and that emotion, that you would get if you again like look, if you were that like. It's a manga
But
mostly
you can
made
also
for
put
kids. You would
multiple
have
panels on a page to convey the information.
True. But like I said, it's like it was the immediacy of it that I think is Mashima was going for. So it's like it's making it's making a concession for the emotions that he was aiming for. So I didn't feel those emotions.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
I knew it was gonna happen.
Normally, I don't have the problems with the end of chapter cliffhangers, but this one in particular was just kind of like we're really stretching the logic of how this happened to make it.
Yeah. Well, and I also feel like, because that's just how he works in general. Like because he said it before, he is very focused on the emotions that he gets across, and like there was that even whole conversation about like the clothes is like, I feel like you could almost imagine in Mashima's head as he was writing it is like, someone's gonna write a letter about this. So he just explains it in the series so he doesn't get the letter, right? Like that's so it's like obviously it should be like, don't have this happen at all. But like he's
and then you also had like
it's
the
interesting.
little aside from Lucy afterwards where she's like, I'm pretty sure I was in some other situations that would have counted as emergencies, and he's like, sorry, those didn't qualify.
Yeah, that was exactly the one. That was the exact moment that I was thinking of where Mashima only brought it up because he knew he was gonna fucking get letters about it. Probably that's just how again me connecting to Mashima and seeing it, trying to see how he sees it, because it's like it is happening a lot, and so it's like he's still doing it, but he's recognizing it, and so he's trying to like just address it in the manga, but it doesn't make it less dumb.
He recognizes it, but instead of trying to improve on it, he's just like, well, here's what. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't actually know.
No, it's yeah, it's fine. It's like, yeah, I'm not sure if it's an improvement, but well, like recognizing it, like they say like just like what is it like just because you're saying it doesn't make it better, and that's true, but like recognizing it is the first step to doing better. And I haven't heard, like, in fact, I've actually heard, like, a praise where it's like, oh, wow, Mashima made this really weird thing that should be a time paradox actually makes sense. And I'm like, or he explained it in a way that actually, like, is, like, there are rules to the world. The question is if he can maintain that consistency, because, like, but, like, yeah, it's definitely a very big issue with his writing, just in general, like, the lack of, and it's the lack of ability to stay consistent with those details. And
yeah, and I know
I'm well familiar with it.
There is a bit of like
yeah.
just being self-aware doesn't in itself fix the issue necessarily. Like
No,
there are plenty
right.
of anime or whatever out there who will like do a thing and like, hey, we're calling attention to the fact that we are doing the thing, but we are still doing the thing and not actually. So like they're still, I don't know. So, like, in Mashima's case, just calling attention to the fact that he's doing weird stuff doesn't make it not weird.
Right. That's what I was saying. It's like, but it could be the first step in trying to get better.
Maybe.
So, I don't know. Maybe. In theory. Because I don't think it gets better in Fairy Tail, really. Though, again, I'll keep... I'm actually kind of curious to go through the rest of the material, because I've never read, like, this is my first time reading, like, I actually own some of the Fairy Tail volumes, like, of the official, this release, but not this far. Like, this far, I was reading, like, the weekly translations that were just, like, Manga Stream, very high quality stuff we're talking about here. Right. Yeah, so, and like I've said, I've had several issues because of the translation where I'm thinking, blaming Fairy Tail for, like, bad. Just that. So I am curious to read the rest because I've never read the official release up to this point, let alone farther. So anyway, Altair runs into Zareth. He's mad because this isn't what he wants. He doesn't want death, but they're coming starting shit.
Yeah, then Altair beats him in a fight, and then later Zareth is like, well, yes, that was my true power then. I don't know what that means.
Okay, so to explain that, basically, like, his power is linked, like, he says, like, he's been cursed, basically, and or how he explains it is basically his power is linked to the value he places on life. So it's like, right now, like, he's weak because he's valuing life. And that's also causes the death wave thing that kills animals and nearly killed Natsu if not for his scarf. So yeah, this is his true power because he's basically, if he's good, he's weaker, and if he's bad, like in that case, he was powerful because he did not value Hades' life. So he had no issue, like, so he got power, I guess. It's weird. Zareth in general is just really weird thinking, like, this is the most sense he makes for me. I'll just say there are some potential contradictions I'll have to think about later. Zareth is weird. Because he's so weird, I'd like to understand him ideally, but it's hard with fairy tales sometimes. Cause I basically said this, but like on a plot level, it's setting consistency level, it's a fucking mess. But I do think I see other people too coming out with like interesting thematic readings. So it's like, it's a story that doesn't make sense, like sometimes makes sense thematically, but it doesn't as much with the plot element. So, I don't know. It's when I respond to all the comments, it's because it's interesting. I'm interested in fairy tale, even if I don't like it. So.
And this is the part where I chime in and I say, at least one of us is.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, but yeah, Altair defeats Zareth, and he's unconscious for a little bit. And then we get, here's the thing. Okay, so here we learn a bit more about the motivations of Grimoire Heart and their perfect world. Because before, the lines implied that, like, anyone could learn magic, but here, Rusty Rose is saying that, like, most people they're a candle that will not light. But it's like, is he saying that they will never light, or they just choose not to light? Because if it's the latter, that like, both make sense. Like, I would assume the latter, it's just because the wording is just, it's a bit more absolute than before in saying, like, oh yeah, not everyone can learn magic, but, like, because their goal isn't just, like, teach everyone magic, it's kill everyone who can't use magic, or get rid of them. Elfman gives a spiel about how, guilds are about helping people, like, not about, like, serving the non-magic people. But his speech doesn't work. Like, they don't actually, like, they come up with a bunch of team stuff to pull off his glasses, but then he just creates new glasses, so they kind of lose, basically. I didn't get much else out of the fight, though.
No, some of these fights weren't particularly interesting.
No. Well, because, again, the main fight with Altair isn't this one, it's with, or not, why did I say Altair? Rusty Rose. Well, even with Freedom Bixel, it's just, like, cool shit, I guess. Like, oh, look at these stronger guildmates, be cool. So anyway, Mest talks with the council member, Lahar. Oh, they were the one who arrested Jalal, I think, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure she's a girl, but I don't remember for sure.
Wait, who?
Lahar, the glasses council member who Mest shows up to.
Okay.
Like, he reports to her, I think, like I said, I think it's a her. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe it's just assumed because
I don't even remember if they were given a name at this point.
Yeah, right? No, it's in a text bubble. It's like one word among like 20. But anyway, so but yeah, Mest is reporting, and the council literally puts a fairy tale on the same level of problems as Grimoire Heart and Zareth, and it's like, excuse me. Like, yeah, they're fuck ups, but like, so this is, I guess it's where I'm kind of agreeing with the good intent thing, because like they're trouble, but they're not like fucking Zareth bad. Like, and this is, he's hung out with the guild, like he's had good memories, like so he's like maybe we shouldn't exterminate the guild and with Aetherion, but it's up in the air.
Luckily for them, they didn't even need Aetherion.
Yeah, they got Aetherion basically in a different way. So I think we get another fight. Yes, Zoldio, the who is secret. Well, he mixed the name Capricorn and Zoldio for Caprio. So that was a fight, and again, like you have the teamwork element because Loki, he works with Capricorn to because Zoldio tries to steal Leo's body, but Leo trusted his powers with Capricorn. And they were teamwork, yeah. Don't remember if I had anything else to say. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. It's a fight. I guess there's some Lucy mom backstory, because Capricorn was a spirit of hers, along with Aquarius and Cancer, I think it was. Not to chase down Ultir because he recognized the scent. That was a neat callback to Golan Island because he met and he recognized the smell. So it's like, that's a decent way to get him where he needs to be for the story. So, that was fine.
Yeah.
Mashima remembered something. That's why I'm fine with it. Then we get the moment I talked about earlier with Levi. She talks about, we need to bring our power together because, the enemy is strong and stuff. I already talked about it. And of course, like, right after that, Kana, you bitch, she puts Lucy to sleep because she still wants to complete the S-Class Mage exam. And she leaves Lucy in danger with the giant dude. I forget his name. And and he gets like a goofy fight with Lucy and Natsu. Another fight. How did you feel about this one?
I did think it was a little weird, like, as far as setup, that Kana, she basically just, like, knowing that there were enemies in the area, she knocked out one of her comrades. That felt a little weird to me.
No, that was kind of, I mean, it's supposed to be because, like, she realizes later that, what the fuck is she doing? Like, she's valuing the familial blood bond over the guild bond, and she's wrong for that, at least in this context, because later, I'm not sure. But yeah, she's like, and like I said, it was right after the Levi thing. So, yeah, but yeah, Ultir is there for a minute, and she runs off again, and I don't even know what this guy's name is.
Yeah, I've forgotten it too. I don't remember. I mean, like, the gimmick was fun. I guess it was a fun fight because you had the puppet doll thing,
the voodoo doll.
That's what.
And then well, like they end up using his power against him, which fucking ties into Lucy's theme. Because, like, he's got lots of power on his own, but he's relying on the voodoo doll more. Fuck! And to the point where it's used against him because, because that's the thing, he's stronger physically, he's more of a threat physically than he was with the voodoo doll. Like, he's more interested in his magic than his own body, even though he has that capability where, Lucy didn't before. She was relying on the magic to make up for what she didn't have, and then, grew stronger on her own. So, fuck! I didn't think about that. And there's also a moment that gave me a little feels when, like, Natsu, he's being, like, the Gildarts trying to tell Lucy to run away, but she doesn't want to run because, like, no matter how things are, how bad things are, it's more fun when we're together, like, and I was like, oh, Lucy, you're too good of a girl, my heart. Cause she's, like, fucking, like, she's got, like, blood staining her mouth, and she's fucking brutalized, but she's like, no, I want to stay and be together, and I'm like, oh, Lucy, no, you're too good. And then of course they manage to win because Natsu gets the voodoo doll and uses Lucy Fire, which is it's goofy and dumb, but it's fine, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, maybe it did feel a little weird after Natsu was all fired up in the last one, because he was like, yeah, I gotta go find this person who messed up Makarov, and I gotta beat him up. But then here he's like afterwards, or maybe it was even before, I forget. But he's like, maybe I'll take a nap.
That was right. Like, I mean, no, that is kind of weird. Like, maybe he just wants rest for the fighting, but like, yeah, that's kind of weird. I forgot about that because you did mention that before, but I forgot about it. In private.
Also, now that I think about it, like when he absorbed the other guy's fire, wasn't that like? Wouldn't that be similar to like his role of like when he absorbs a different kind of magic, it messes with him, like that happened with Lax's lightning.
Maybe.
So
yeah, that's possible because it's technically fire, but it is like a dark fire, so maybe that made him more like want to rest more or something. But he got over it. That's a good. I didn't think about that. Maybe. Though I didn't bitch about that enough because it's like I'm just trying to think of like what it means to bring your magic to 0. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just like, and it's it's kind of like using like non-established rules for like to win. I've always thought that was weird and dumb and doesn't make sense. Like even if there is a thematic element to that works, like the thematic element isn't tied. Like what is that? How does that the aspect of turning your magic to 0? How does that tie into the thematic point? I don't think it does. So I mean, maybe I don't know. We've been getting some good comments, so that I've been deleting the ones that my responses to and forgetting who made them because I'm a fucking idiot. But anyway, Lucy digs Natsu out. Yeah, see now he's back. Like they tried to hurt the old man, so I just they can't just leave. So it's like, hey, he's flip flopping a bit, or I don't know. I skimmed over the I want a nap part, so I didn't think too much about it. But it was weird. We're getting there. We're getting to the end. So yeah, Kana's almost at the grave, or she is at the grave. Grace bumps into Ultir carrying Zerafov. We get a cutaway to Hades on the boat because there's another major guild member who was never there. The mess. I get now. We have a name for it. Of Mathwiz just introducing characters because remember he talked about it back with in the Tower of Heaven where he's like, I was gonna have the Urza's friends be the antagonists, but then I realized it's too sad, so he just comes up with the Trinity Raven.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so here's Trinity. Here's this arc's Trinity Raven in the form of Blue Note Stinger, who's just like, oh yeah, Hades just happened to have a guy who is stronger than the Seven Kins of Purgatory. So anyway, Doran Bolt. Or Balt, or Mest, the council's about to report to headquarters, and he steals the Lacrima because he wants to save Fairy Tail. He knows they aren't that bad. Which, I guess that's kind of what fucks with the council stuff, because you have this authority who wants to challenge Fairy Tail, and you got the good intent thing through Mest, through Doran Balt, sort of surpassing, he allows them to be, to not, suffer from the hands of the council. Though, there's also, and there's even a bit where, Natsu says, anyone who, that was it, Mest was hey, we should, retreat, and you should listen to the council, and Natsu's I don't care, anyone who raises a hand against our family is an enemy. He's threatening the council, and I can say that this doesn't go anywhere. The council is not a meaningful authority to Fairy Tail, despite all the buildup that of this conflict that's supposed to be happening. So it's that's what was saying, because reading that second chapter where you have this which really Makarov's fuck the council, I don't give a fuck. It's just this is a conflict waiting to happen, and here this is it. This is basically the end of that. It doesn't happen. And so this was the feelings that I had back then, and yeah, they haven't really changed, because it's just weird that he has so much build up and then it just kind of drops it. So back to the fighting. Merudi is beating up she's fighting on par with both Urza and Juvia, and then she pisses off Juvia because she's I want to kill Gray because he made Ultir sad, and then Juvia gets pissed and they fight, and yeah, Urza ends up going off. Did you have any thoughts about the Merudi fight?
I guess it was interesting. I don't know. I guess that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the message, because Merudi, she's willing to die to kill her enemies, but Juvia, they have the connected feelings, and so Juvia, ends up, wanting Merudi to live, and it's fine, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess Merudi, she lost her town, and she wanted a family, and so here you have Fairy Tail, because that's the thing is like Fairy Tail is very inclusive. Like like here's Juvia, someone who's formerly an antagonist, now talking to an antagonist and reaching out to them. So live for love, don't die, I guess. Sure, cool. That's what it said. That's what she said. It's pretty simple. The Gray Ultier fight was a little bit more interesting. So we can move on to that. Weird, I guess, but like, because I guess that's how the teamwork thing that I've been mentioning. It's like, or no, wait, wow, I skipped way ahead actually. Never mind. It's just a bunch of fighting, and I wanna, let it end, please. It's such a long arc. Because I think this is the longest one we've done so far, right? Yeah, it has to be, because it's more than a fifth of the chapters, and this is episode 5, so I feel like it's the most we've done so far. No, it's not. Never mind. I'm an idiot. So Urza runs into Azuma. Rusty Rose finds out where their camp where they were tending to the wounded, and Blue Note shows up and starts fucking up shit. And it's so dumb. Why did I drop it? This is where I dropped the manga, by the way, when Kana got Fairy Glitter, and I'm like, why? I dropped it for like weeks. Like, I think what I was frustrated about was like, I thought, she's just gonna get this power up and it's gonna win the day. So it was extra. So it was dumb to drop it even then, because it's like literally next chapter, she uses it to no effect, because like she doesn't do anything with it. It's just like she tries it and it doesn't work. So it's like I was mad for no reason, because I'm like, yeah, she's gonna use this and save the day, and it didn't work. And so I dropped the manga, and then I didn't pick it up until later. So that was dumb.
Well, I don't know. Even then, how Fairy Glitter gets used is kind of because like it's built up as like it's a power up thing, and then it does nothing.
No, that's the thing. I dropped it for not the dumb reason that it is. I dropped it for a dumb reason that I made up myself, because I did the thing that I don't like when people read an ongoing story and they're like, oh, this thing happened. It might be bad in the next chapter, so I'm gonna be frustrated about it now until I get that extra context that I'm missing. And so it's like, I was mad about the context I didn't have when the reality, like, at least that would have made sense, because it's like, because this was a big moment for Kana. We see a flashback, like, because she tries to touch it and it doesn't work. And then she has her, like, flashback moment and realizes, what the fuck have I been doing? Like, she checks her Lucy, like, we see, she's connected to Guild Arts, and she's, wants to be an S-class mage for that blood relation that she's putting more value in over her guild. And then she sees the Lucy card, and she's like, she's what the fuck have I been doing? And then she can take Fairy Glitter when she's thinking about her friends in the guild. So it's like, it's a moment, and then nothing happens. I mean, maybe it's because she's still fighting alone, even with Fairy Glitter. Like, she charged in alone. She's not fighting with, I bet then neither is Urza, so, but Urza's already an S-class mage. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of like, I remember back in Brave Master when Ruby had that moment where he did something neat, but then it didn't amount to anything, and I was like, this is sad for Ruby. Now I'm sad for Kana, because she's like trying, and it's not working. Because Blue Note's just too strong, and then Guild Arts just comes in and saves the day. I mean, it was kind of cool, like, seeing Guild Arts, like, and be really strong and beat the fucking shit. Like, he makes the black hole, and it was like, and he breaks it with his magic, because we saw him do that before. Like, there was a really cool artifact when, Guild Arts, like, when he breaks stuff apart, it looks neat. Like, when he broke Natsu's fireball, I remember that one in particular, like, how he drew all the, like, the layered of the cubes that it broke into. I was like, that's kind of neat how that was drawn. So, yeah. Oh, and Vixla and, Freed come back too to fight Rusty Rose. I'm almost done, Mathwiz, I promise. Did you have anything to say about these these 2, I guess 3 last fights? Because there's also Urza versus Azuma, and I really don't have much to say about any of them.
I mean, the Urza fight had like a cool panel of like Urza jumping with her sword and all the people with the hands behind her.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was probably the best one of these 3. because, and also like sure her armor wasn't working, so she took off her armor. Like she's she's not relying on it, and she's also like, remember the armor was like a barrier, a potential barrier to her comrades, and she wins without it. So you have that element coming back up again. Oh, her friends were protecting her. Her friends are her armor, I guess. Again, it's still kind of weird because I don't know how it factors into like the unity thing, because pretty much every fight was won through some. I mean, I guess with Gray versus Ultir, he won with help from not a Fairy Tail member, so that also kind of rubs against it. Actually, maybe even more. Shit, I didn't think about it like that. So yeah, it's almost there, but it's not quite, I guess. So, but yeah, that was neat. Urza wins. She always wins. And Azuma's actually pretty cool. Like, he's not just like evil. He's a bit like Let back in the Tower of Din, where he just wants a cool fight. Blue Note's a little bit like that too, because he kept talking about like flying. Like, he's like, oh, Gildarts, maybe you can fly. So I felt like that aspect from him a bit, where he wants a good fight because he's really strong.
I don't know. He was kind of a boring antagonist. I didn't really.
Yeah, no, he was.
Like
I'm not saying that makes it like
interesting. Like, he was an interesting kind of like wants a good fight type personality, but the other guy. Yeah,
and like once he lost, he spills all the beans. Like, once he's lost, and he's like, "Whoops, I used too much of a power. I'm turning into Earth." And but he's giving Urza information. So he's like, because he's not necessarily like I guess he's not looking out for the. He has a desire, but it's not one that needs the one true magic or anything like the perfect world. So as like Ultir and Rusty Rose were talking about. Most of the other ones didn't even get any kind of like motive really. Like what did maybe Zonkro said something and I forgot what he said, but because he did show up again before Zeref killed him.
Well, a bit of like an interesting thing with like when Azuma's power like reverts on him and like turns him into the Earth or whatever. I thought maybe that was going to be like set up like, oh, maybe these other characters will have some sort of side effect to their powers and they'll turn into stuff, but not really. He was kind of the only one, so it kind of like set up a mechanic of this lost magic or whatever that was only really used once.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Because like most other magics don't seem to have like negative side effects like that outright, at least not that we've seen. So we kind of got like the live die thing again, where like Ultir tells Gray like, oh, you should use Ice Shell, and he says he buys it to pulse because he's not gonna die. We've been over this. Or in the story, I mean, where Natsu talked him out of it. One thing I do like, okay, there's a funny moment towards the end of the like this volume. That's funny because like Ultir is like, I'm the leader of the 7 Kins of Purgatory. No one, you can't hope to take me on. And then like Gray like immediately just fucking punches her, and it's like, you're really threatening, Ultir. Like, she's what? It's so weird because she's trying to hype herself up, and then Gray just fucking punches her. I'm just like, okay, I guess you're the leader.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. But I do kind of like the play against powers this fight, because like Ultir has like a reasonable counter to Gray's powers, and he comes up with a cool counter to to defeat that because he uses his blood, because she can't do it on like living things, and so I guess.
I was kind of wondering how Mashima would use like the power up that can like mess with time. I was wondering how he was gonna have a fight work with that, and it was an interesting fight as far as like the mix of powers was concerned.
Right, yeah. And this one, this wasn't how the fight ended, but I thought I've always liked that, because like Gray's power is, it's like based on imagination and creativity, so it makes sense that there's actually like a neat solution to this problem, and explaining weakness in a cool way. Like I've always liked this moment. Because it's
that
neat.
Reminds me, when like Azuma took away all the powers from everybody during the fight with Urza, it was convenient that all the other fights were just kind of put on pause for the duration of that fight. Like, I mean, there were, I don't know, some people got, like, Gildarts got punched a couple times, he got a little beat up, but there was, like, no meaningful damage or anything done, which, I don't know, it felt weird, like, it felt like Mashima was trying to have these fights be interconnected in different ways. Like there was the thing with Gray and Juvia earlier.
Meredy, right?
And then,
right, yes.
So there was something similar with the Ozma thing. Like all the powers were taken away, but
yes, and that was making even Gildarts was having trouble and stuff until Urza won and the tree was restored.
I guess I get it from like a theming perspective, because it's like, oh, the fate of the guild doing the friendship, but I don't know. Like if I felt like there could have been more interconnectedness. Like if like Mashima was going out of his way to show that, like, oh, look at even Gildarts, like all the characters are losing their power, but not much really came of it. Like I said, the fights were just sort of put on pause.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I mean, like, you do have the team up finish with not team up finish, but the Gildarts winning against Blue Note, and then Lysana, Elfman, Free and Vixla winning against like Rusty Rose had it. They haven't at the same time, even though they were separately. Kind of like the, like, actually, I guess it's just like a slightly, because we remember we had an issue back in Naruto with the third Hokage and Naruto versus Gaara, where it's like you had the third Hokage fight Orochimaru, then that was put on pause for like 30 fucking chapters, and then it ended, and it's like, and you said it was even worse in the anime because like they kept cutting back to it and nothing happening. And it's like so I guess this was a bit not as meaningful because it wasn't like the big final fights or anything, but at least we didn't have like the pain of having to constantly cut back for nothing to happen. So I didn't watch that, but that sounds awful. Oh, we also get Altier's backstory. Like, she falls into the water and, she, melted and turned into water. So, like, she's there in the ocean, I guess. Magic. This is
such a galaxy brain plot twist. So, like, is now the ocean. Oh, okay. I didn't like this at all because, I mean, like, Altier didn't...
go on.
Explain like her inner conflict or anything, like, so she didn't say, oh, this is the struggle of me, everything that's gone to me, you wouldn't understand. So, like, I don't know, there's nothing really Gray could have done to convince her otherwise, so I guess like it kind of had to happen this way. She just comes to a realization,
right?
But the reasoning for it is so stupid because she just like
the realization is weird because she's like, oh, I wanted to want to what? I don't know. And I don't get why the extra like part of the phrase is there. Like, all I wanted was to want to see my mother again. Like she was disconnected and she wanted to be reconnected. Like why the middleman?
It felt just like really. It felt completely bullshit because there is no other way that this conflict would have resolved because. How was she supposed to find out that, like, oh, her mother didn't abandon her? It was just she had a weird perspective on things. Like, she didn't have the full story. And it's like, well, how do you change that perspective then? Well, you fill in the gaps. Well, how do you fill in the gaps when the character is dead? She melted into the ocean and drifted out to this island conveniently to magic
so,
the
this
memories
is like...
into her memory.
So this is the kind of shit that broke me all the time, but it's like, so like, because there's meaning to that, to what happens, I guess. Well, because like I wanted to joke because it's like, blood doesn't matter except Gray. He uses his blood, so blood does matter, right? No, to fight her at once. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if that's really like because her backstory was fine, where it's like because like even Leon said that like, oh, we're just a replacement for your daughter, but never thought that, but Altier did when she escaped and saw like, oh look, she's got replacement kids now, and then she went fucking back to the facility that had kidnapped her. So like, I don't know, the backstory part is fine.
Idea in concept, and just the way it's executed is so stupid. And
no, right.
convenient.
That's where you have that, because I was actually talking with Mr. Cynical at Anime Expo, and he like, I guess was positing an idea that of like sort of like quote unquote analysis versus critique, where it's like critique is, it's a judgment of, like, I kind of approached this in the Super Perpetual video where, like, critique is basically, like, it's a judgment of a work. Like, does it make sense? Where analysis is, like, focused on just the ideas, like, the values, what is the work saying? So here's a moment where it's, like, the critique of it outweigh and the emotions of just the contrivedness and like that outweighs any potential value of the analysis, which is totally, like, again, I've had this happen a lot, and with Fairy Tail in particular, it's really this is really contrived and dumb. So no, I get it. Absolutely. And I do plan on doing an expanded video on that idea, just because I feel like AniTube is way too focused on critique. Like, because I have an issue. My personal issue is, like, it's fine to critique things. I'm obviously not as interested in it now as I was back in, say, the Naruto Nen Show, where we had a lot of critique. And part of my issue with reading Naruto was, like, a lot of our critiques were based in lack of understanding. So in this case, like, it's kind of needed, but there's meaning to it, but it's like the fact that it's happening, or the way it's happening, isn't necessarily meaningful in itself. Like, why the ocean? Because it happened to be where Urta, like, what if it was like, what if they were literally at the spot where or if there was some more, like, reasonable way for for Ur to connect to her daughter. Like,
yeah, there are cool,
you would have the same idea, but you can
things within this fight, like them fighting in the ocean was kind of cool just to see. But
yes, because they're both ice users fighting underwater. So there's a cool aspect to that.
Mashima
but it's like,
had to figure out how to advance this.
The galaxy brain.
And it's just like,
yes.
What if the ice melted and it went into the ocean and it drifted all the way over to this island where this fight would happen? And then, like, just
So
the specific panel where it's just like the big spread and she's like, "Am I now inside of?" It's just like, this feels like a meme. This looks like a meme page.
It's funny that of all the bullshit, this is what gets you. Because this never extremely bothered me a lot. Like, and trust me, I've been bothered. I mentioned moments, and there's more to come. Oh, Mathwiz, there's more to come. So I just wanted to bring it up because this is the moment that really gets to you, which is like, imagine feeling this like every arc, and now you know why I made the tirade, because holy shit. But yeah, so it is super dumb. But I guess my end point of that video that I might make is, like, I'm absolutely fine with critique, but my issue is that, like, if the critique is ignorant of the meaning, like in this case, I don't think it is, because it's like, you could have done this in a way that still has the meaning, potentially, but it would, it's involved to change a lot, but, and it's like, it is really dumb, but it's like, like, critique can use analysis to bolster itself. Like, what has more value, a critique that recognizes the meaning or a critique that doesn't understand the meaning, right? Like, I would argue that the former has more value. So I don't know. That's just finishing that thought, because that was a tangent, and I don't know. It's going to be a video, hopefully, where I make myself much more clear. But, like, because that's just the thing because again, that goes back to the meme tweet where it's like, the plot bullshit is the critique and the themes are the analysis. And I'm again, I don't fault anyone for being interested in critique, but there's just so much of it on AniTube. I'm more personally interested in the meaning and understanding that part of stories, even with Fairy Tail, where critically it's fucking like, it's bad. It's bad.
I guess, like, for
it just does, a lot of it doesn't make sense.
Maybe to kind of make a comparison, if maybe that'll make my feelings any more, I don't know. But, like, when Naruto had to fight Pain, for example, like, Naruto didn't know. I think I'd mentioned it in my Talk No Jutsu video that, like, Jiraiya had a decent perspective on, like, Pain's ideology, but Naruto didn't, and so, like, Naruto had to fight him for himself and kind of figure out where he was coming from, and then eventually, like, he gets the backstory told to him, and then he's like, okay, I know how to answer your whatever, respond to the ideology. But, like, here, this doesn't really involve anything from Gray. It just happens. She just suddenly gets the memories, and her perspective is like, oh, I was wrong. Okay.
Yeah, well, there is the one bit, because Gray said, he's like, I'm on at the page right now. Spoke to us about you only once, and he mentioned, like, why she named, it's like, I was crying because, I was happy about this life. The Ur's tear is proof of my own life. That's like that. So that bit is, like, kind of like the final bit. But there,
I don't know if there was really anything. There was also from Gray, the whole, like, before the big reveal, to kind of, like, say, hey, I don't know, like,
it just kind of like they're fighting, and then we get the flashback then I'm inside my mother, and we get that flashback with explaining what happened, how lost her daughter, and then that which paved the way for Gray's bit to sort of have the effect it did. So it's like, so it's not even like the final moment necessarily. It's the build up to that final. I mean, the line is weird that I mentioned earlier because that happens after the Gray bit, but the no, it's fine. I get you. Like I said,
yeah. To me,
you're basically feeling what I felt
to me,
for
this
years.
is dumber than anything in Eration Seis, but it like, I don't know, I'm more passionate about it being dumb because I feel like there could have been something interesting, and there kind of is still something interesting in this fight with Gray.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like how it's gone across is really weird and awkward, and just like, wait, what? Like, again, think of like how this could have done better is if, if there was another way for, or like established for the Ultir to get the memories, which is like kind of like really hard because of the distance, and like who the only people who knew about this exact scene of giving it was Ultir because she was sick, and the doctors, like, so maybe there could have been a better way to have Ultir dredge up that memory, because she was technically here in all these scenes as a baby, and I don't know, and Mest has memory magic, so I don't know, but it's like Gray, but no one even knew. Like, neither Gray or Mest would have known about this memory that she had. Like, because she, there she is, child Ultir, in the hospital place. So I'm just trying to think of like, okay, how could this have been? Because it's like you said, it's like, he needs the scene to happen, and this is how he did it.
Or we could have just...
It's just really, really weird.
We could have not had her memories and just somehow had her come to a... I don't know. I'm done. I have nothing more to say on this moment.
Let's move on. Yeah.
It was a fight that, like, could have been perhaps one of the most interesting fights in this arc, and then it's just like this.
Well, I mean, again, going back to go to Rave for a second, you really liked, I guess, almost the equivalent to this fight with Musica versus Reina, right? Like, you enjoyed that one, relatively speaking, as far as Rave goes.
Yeah.
Like, and so you can kind of see this one as another take on that, because Gray, we saw him and it's like, hey, look, it's Musica. And then Ultir is like this girl character who has a weird, like, vendetta with them. So it's like, you can kind of see, and what happens is, like, they come over to the good side during the conflict. So it's like, or no, I guess I'm thinking of a different fight, maybe, or no, they happened together, because they first, you had the Musica and Reina shit, then they kind of figured this shit out, and then Ogre happened, or maybe it was during the fight with Ogre.
No, yeah, it was funny that you made the comparison to Reina versus Musica, because that was exactly what I had thought. Like, as the fight was developing, I was like, oh hey, it's this. I wonder if they're gonna get together. No.
Well, I mean, I guess slightly different is that, like, because I guess it's interesting that you don't like this one, because, or at least that you don't like that moment, because with the Reina one, you're like, wow, Reina seems interesting. I hope I get to see more, and then she fucking dies.
Well, like,
where at least Ultir's alive. Like, she tried to kill
anything,
herself.
like, she got brand new information out of thin air that she didn't know, and that would have changed her perspective completely.
Are you doing another what was that series called where you've compared things like Goku and Gon?
The thematic breakdown.
Yes, thematic breakdown, Reina versus Musica and Gray versus Ultir.
Don't make me do it.
I would love to see you make a fairy tale video, in all honesty, like, even if it was negative, just like, or at least, sharing your feelings, just because it's like, I don't know. It's just the idea of you making a fairy tale video is like, oh my god, where are we? What's going on? How is this happening?
One thing I think I kind of realized, like, with this chapter, there is kind of, I am starting to feel more of, like, just this weird fascination of, like, wanting to see fairy tale do stupid plot things, because, like, I don't know, like, there's some level,
but has
like, maybe it's just getting to the point where it's like I kind of want that level of, like, so bad that it's good. Or not even that it's good, but just, like, so bad that it's, like, amusingly baffling. I don't know. But, like, I don't know. I do still want Fairy Tail to be good, so I'm in a weird middle ground.
Yeah. Well, it's like, when we do the, like, say you were reading Fairy Tail on your own and you just, like, forced yourself through it, like, you didn't consider much, but, like, or you might not have considered much, but because I'm like talking with you, I'm like kind of forcing you to engage with it in some way. And like, how are we going to do that with a series and not walk away with some kind of feeling on it, you know, with having these discussions? Like, it's not like these episodes are like 30 minutes long. It's like, yeah, I didn't have much to say about this stretch of chapters. Like, no, I'm going basically page by page and trying to say something. I mean, I'm interested in it, if nothing else, you know. I mean, Bleach was kind of iffy at times because neither of us were super interested at times. And I fear for a series where it's like that through the entire way. Because that's not going to be a fun discussion for anyone, I hope. Or I hope we don't have that happen, so...
Yeah, I don't know, like, maybe this is, like, I was kind of disinterested with Bleach at the time. Of course, now my opinion has changed a bit. So I don't know, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe there is maybe there is some sort of a benefit to, like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I'll take negative interest over no interest, I guess is what I'm trying to say, you know?
Although, speaking of Rave, there was, of course, a part later where, Panther Lily just like steals a sword from a guy, and it's like, the Musica sword.
Yeah, that was expensive or something like that, right? I was like, hey, I understood that reference.
It wasn't the only
again,
Rave reference in the stretch of chapters. Like, there was a part where Griff showed up to like explain exposition rules.
You're correct. He did show up. I didn't even think about that.
Like, this was an arc where I was almost like, wait, are we gonna get through an entire fairy tale arc without a Rave reference? No, of course not.
No Pooty thing. Like, even in the Loki arc, which is really short, you have Plu and mentions of like a hero, and it's like, okay. So anyway, Zeref was kind of. That's right. Juvio was being a goofball chasing after Meridi, who was running with Zeref.
Yeah, she had like broke her leg or whatever in the previous fight, so she's just like crawling on the ground.
She's like acting out of for Gray's sake, so of course she's doing it either way, and it's like, she's just being a doofus. But then Zancro comes in and he gets Zeref, and then Zeref kills him on accident because of his powers, and I was like, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. And he keeps saying this cryptic shit where it's like, you know, I didn't expect to do anything in this era, but if this age were to come to an end, then I might act. So it's like, and that's kind of, I guess, what happens is like, you have the time skip and that ends this era, and so now there's a new era, so Zeref gets to act again somehow. I don't know. I don't understand that.
I don't know. Like, we haven't gotten enough engagement with the time skip yet, but it does seem kind of weird to be like, oh, I can't do anything right now. Well, and then we'll just like doodly doodly doodly. Okay, now I can do stuff. Like, it's over the course of a couple chapters. It's just like, oh, things have changed. Everything's different now.
Yeah, it is really, because it's a really weird as a time skip. Like Mashima says, like, I bet you've never seen something like this before, because it's like the world undergoes a 7-year time skip, but the characters don't. For them, it's just been like a couple weeks, and there was some neat stuff from that. Like the Lucy stuff was neat, but it's like, you know, they didn't get stronger. They didn't, like, I was so disappointed, because it's like, back when I first read it weekly, because it's like, I wanted to see what their new designs would look like. I wanted them to be stronger, and like, I wanted that time skip hype, and I didn't get it at all. Maybe I did drop it during that stuff, because I was disappointed, but like, rereading it, I didn't think anything of it, because I knew already. I knew exactly how the time skip goes.
You know how it ends, I don't. So from my perspective, I'm like, maybe it could be interesting, because like, as Mashima had said in the afterword, all the characters didn't, like, normally the characters get stronger through a time skip, but this time it's like the world around them has changed and other characters have gotten stronger, so there could be something, maybe, potential.
Yeah, so you're seeing like, hey, maybe this will be okay. Like, you're not feeling negatively about the time skip so far, is what you're saying?
I'm suspending my judgment until I know where it goes.
Fair. Right, because I did not. I was back in the day. I was a little peeved that I didn't get to see the redesigns and the power ups, and yeah, that'd be cool. But no, it didn't happen.
I mean, like, maybe if we weren't doing this for the Nen Show and I was just reading... See, I don't know. Like, at what point would I have maybe dropped Fairy Tail? Would I have dropped it if I was reading it on my own? At this point, I'm here for the long haul. Like, if anything would have... Like, I don't know. Like, if I've built up a tolerance, like, we I don't know. Like,
No, that's understandable. A Mashima tolerance, is that what you're saying?
yeah, I guess.
I mean, you've only read like what 500-600 chapters of his work. Like, how much do you have to read before it's like, I'm used to it?
Yeah, like, I guess what I was trying to think, like, with certain things, like, if I watch like an episode of an anime and it doesn't really click with me on any way, like, I'll drop it at an episode. And I feel like Fairy Tail has long since gotten beyond that point where it's like I have had so many little minor issues over the course that, like, if I would have dropped it, I would have done it by now. So at this point, it's like, how can it get worse? Or not, maybe not that. Maybe it can get worse, but just like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure either. Otherwise, I'd try to suggest something. But yeah, Fairy Tail. It's Fairy Tail. Though I guess, I mean, the one thing I'd say, because like sometimes, I don't know. No, it's completely irrelevant. Never mind. It doesn't have anything to do with anything. So yeah, everyone regroups and they go to face down Hades. You get his line that I didn't notice where he says like, "Oh, I guess I have to condescend myself." I didn't mind the Hades fight. Is it is it my favorite this arc? I had the most to say about it. And so one thing I did not get, he mentioned it in the afterword, but like, because when the final bit happened, you get all these characters using these like cool, getting these whole 2-page spreads for their attacks.
Yeah.
And that was not in the weekly release, because he even mentioned that was stuff he added for the volume, and he did that before with the Fairy Festival. And these are pages I have not seen in the manga, which is like, that's a little different from just a translation. So I thought that was cool. Okay, and then the Wendy fake out, we've already talked about that. And why I think it happened, at least. It was dumb. And then I do like her other outfit though that she changed into. But okay, and the fighting is like, there's the part where he just like he makes finger guns.
Yeah, and he even says like,
and
bang.
He's like shooting. And he's like bang bang bang, and it's like the best thing ever. Because you have this like serious dark, evil form of Fairy's Wicked Master. He's just like bang, 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 and it's fucking working. Like he fucking shoots Natsu and Gray and Wendy, and it's like, it's so stupid and it's perfect. I love it. Oh, and I guess you got Natsu saying the themes where it's like, if you don't got the guts to change, then stop living. Because Hades is like, he separated his heart from his body so he could stay the same, and he rejects the kind of like moving on. Like, yeah, Makarov moved on. He changed the guild, and that different guild is what surpasses him because, change versus stagnance. You get more shonen themes, common ones. Oh, and this is the part that made me pick back up the manga because Laxus comes in. And I remember I was just browsing 4chan. I saw that 2-page spread of Laxus facing down Hades, and I was like, fuck, I felt an emotion. That looks cool. I think I have to catch up with Fairy Tail. Like, because I still had, like, lingering positive emotions for Fairy Tail, even if I was overall dissatisfied with it. Because, again, the love-hate relationship, and it's like, Laxus. And, of course, what happens immediately after is Laxus gets his shit kicked in. So I picked up the manga for Laxus, and then he's just gone.
I mean,
I forgot about that. I mean, I don't care anymore, but it's just kind of funny. Because he's actually, like, one-on-one, he's able to stand up to Hades, because it's like, he is the strongest, I'm tempted to say, like, he does better against Hades one-on-one than Makarov did, for sure, because he doesn't go into Fairy Law. But, so, I mean, it does end up, like, losing and passing. He gives his energy to Natsu, like, a Spirit Bomb or some shit. I don't know. Oh, yeah, there was one interesting exchange earlier. But, because, like, Hades was talking to the guild and says, like, he was beating them up, and he's like, oh, it's Makarov's fault this is happening to you. Like, he's trying to get them to blame the parent figure, I guess. Because, like, again, he's taking a lot from what his idea of Zeref is. So it's like he's trying to replicate the past where the new, so his previous generation, and just do that again. He doesn't want change. He wants things to be the same. He wants to go back to the one magic, the oldest magic. The things are bad now. They were better before. So go back all the way. But where again, what does Natsu say about failure?
Yeah, a 90s kid.
recognize your failure and go forward. So themes.
I like how you just completely ignored my joke there.
I didn't hear you. That's why, because Discord cut out half of it. Whoa.
No, you said things are bad now. They need to go back to or whatever. And I was like, oh, is he a '90s kid?
Okay, that was good. Yes, he is a '90s kid. But anyway, so yeah, Natsu gets the power, and it doesn't even actually, like, now I think about it, it doesn't actually amount to anything. Like, he beats up Hades a bit, and then, but like, you know, Hades, because he separated his heart, he's basically like, he can't really take damage, and he has a lot of magic power, and so he's like, Natsu goes down to 0, like, is what he said. Like, he's like, I don't even have the strength to, you know, to move, and I mean, he does move in a bit, but, like, you know, because, like, he keeps fighting them, and then fucking Panther Lily and, like, you know, like, the weak cats end up saving the day by destroying the heart, and like, I do think it's kind of cool because Natsu's, like, he doesn't have magic power, but he's still fighting Hades, like, with just his fists and stuff. Like, and then he, you know, and then when the tree gets restored, or wait, I thought it was already restored. Huh. Oh, maybe it was partially restored, and then Altair restored the rest of it. Maybe that's what happened. But yes, and then you just get all those pages. Like, you got Capricorn, you got Wendy doing a cool attack, you got Gray doing a cool, like, it's just cool. And everyone teams up and friendship. Yeah. Never underestimate the power of friendship, is what Musica said. So yeah, I guess that was my favorite fight of this arc, because it was fine. Yeah, I think throughout the discussion I've said just about everything I had to. Oh yeah, and I guess that's the other thing, because like Makarov was talking to him after, and he said like all of Makarov's ideals that he shared to the guild, he's like, I got them from you. Like, he took from his predecessors and kept going forward, where Hades tried to go back. So, and I already mentioned how, like, oh, the magic is how you see it, kind of freedom, you know, is what Makarov says. So it works. I don't know. See, it's like, I remember back in the tirade, I just did not pick up on any of this at all, and I shat on it for like, oh, it's about passing the torch, but not really. But it's like, rereading it, it's like, actually, it's more, there's more than that. And it actually does kind of, like, some of it does work. Like, you know, there's issues, like, the Altair stuff is weird. Like, I was talking about the Unity thing, and I don't think that's 100% consistent with the Gray stuff. You know, because Gray beats Altair alone. With no other fairy tale mages, I guess, which is like, and the unity of the guild is what Levy was talking
beat
about.
Altair with Ur's help, because Ur was in the ocean.
Yeah, but she's not a fairy tale mage, so I mean, maybe, like, that's why it's weird for me to, but maybe, because like I'm flip flopping on that one, because I'm not sure personally, and like Urza won, and I've already talked, like, Urza and Gildart's won alone. Urza kind of, because she had friendship punch. But like slash sword thing, and I don't know. There's aspects here that work, so you know, I'm fine on the arc. Like, I was expecting it to be way, like, worse, and there's dumb things as usual. So I guess I'm walking away from the arc pleasantly surprised.
The dichotomy of the fairy tale podcast Craftsdwarf is always like, it's not as bad as I thought it would be, and then I'm here like,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, like, for me, Edalus was pretty fine. It was maybe even good. I kind of liked it. It was a pretty positive podcast. Then we're back here, and I'm just like, back to normal.
Yep. So anyway,
although
Hades is down, or
actually no, mine's more the aftermath, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because like we're getting into the cooldown period. Everyone's like chilling, there's goofy antics, like, yeah, Gildart's laughing at Laxus for being like, ha, you're exiled, loser. Like, he's just Gildart's just being a kid in a way, just all the dumb, like, everyone's, you know, it's fine, they're back to being normal ass, like, they're even I like the bit where Natsu's like, I want to be an S-class mage, and Makarov's like, okay, special test, if you can beat me, you could be, and then he just fucking completely destroys Natsu. So I just like the giant fucking fist. It was fun. And I kind of already talked about the Zareth moment with Hades. Did you have anything to add to that? Because I already bitched about the keys to this fucking seal. That didn't matter. And I already talked about, like, his power and, you know, the weight of a life. And Hades is fucking dead.
Yeah, no, I think you pretty much covered it.
Yep. There's another moment that I actually think is fine with Altair and Merudi, where Altair explained, she wanted to go back as well, like Hades, and now she's regretting that, and trying to kill herself, but Altair or not Merudi,
she tried
live.
to do the Jalal, where she was just gonna like take herself out, and she's like, there, I've absolved my crimes, and it's like, yes. No, you gotta live with you gotta carry that weight.
Yes, live with the guilt. I didn't think about that, which is fitting because what happens on the first page of Fairy Tail, we see Altair and Jalal together, like, so it makes sense that they both have, I don't know, I guess it's fine that they go through the same idea, and it is in a different context this time because it's with the whole, back, because again, the arc of time, she wanted to go back, like, everything bad that she did would be undone if, she was able to go all the way back. But of course that's not exactly possible, or that's not how it unfolds. So yeah, I like this moment.
Like, I guess you could see this in like so she's just forgiven now, and now she's just a good person. But for me, it's more like she has to. I mean, like, she had even said at one point, the other character had said, Merudi had said that, like, Altair is my mother or whatever. So it's like, to me, this is like her way of. Because, like, she destroyed her village or whatever, so this is her way of atoning for that, is, like, not leaving this character alone, and, like, yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. But anyway, so there's more guild interactions. We get Kana and Gildarts have a moment where it's, like, I still feel kind of weird about this one, because it's, like, it is putting value, like, in the blood relationship, because it's, like, these two barely knew each other, but now, like, Kana is special to Gildarts because they're blood related. And I don't know. I guess I'm kind of iffy on that. Maybe it's because I'm just so deeply into One Piece. Maybe it's fine. I mean, if blood doesn't matter, then I don't know. I've always had mixed feelings on this part.
I don't know. There was the little part where Gildarts said, like, "Am I allowed to love you?" or whatever, and it's like, oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's fine. I guess again I have those mixed feelings. And of course, yeah, he's she's happy that he met him, or she met words. And it seems like everything's fine, and then nope. Agnologia. I mean, I think it was mentioned earlier that he was coming because that's why Zeref was pissed off at Hades, because your evil hearts summoned the dragon who fucked up Gildarts.
Yeah, so we finally, like, after all the build-up, we finally get to see Zeref, and then also it's just like, by the way, here's this other antagonist. This other just force.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, who's connected to the dragons and stuff. He's like, he's from the Apocalypse Revelations, so he's like some kind of like big fucking deal, and he doesn't even speak to humans because he sees them as beneath him. He's just this fucking giant monster that just fucking starts fucking shit up. And Makarov with the death flags, like, holy shit, how does a character pop so many death flags? And I'm gonna spoil it, fuck it. He doesn't die. Makarov never dies in the entire fucking series. Even though he's like, has so many near-death experience and death flags, he's still fucking alive. Like, holy shit. And because here he is, it's like, I'll hold them back, you go ahead. But of course you have the same thing as with Zonkro, where it's like, no one in the guild wants to lose Makarov, and so they all turn back. Like, Natsu doesn't even have magic power, and he's still, like, trying to, like, fucking climb on this dragon, and then the whole guild comes in. But it's like, Makarov, why are the death flags? I guess it's not even a fake out.
If anything, this would have been the moment to do it.
This was yes, I would agree. This is the Makarov dies moment that never happened. Because, like, you have the 7-year time skip. And then, I mean, there was a good like, it's not like the story didn't have nothing for Makarov still being alive, because I do like the moment later with the ogre, Twilight Ogre, where Makarov's interacting with their guildmaster. That was pretty cool. But, like, there's
only so many times you can do this character might die, but then they don't actually die, before it's just like, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care about this character.
No, absolutely. And it's like the fake out deaths. It's like, instead of fake out deaths, it's fake out death flags. Like, the death flag isn't even real, because it's like, because that's what it is. It's like, oh, this character's gonna die, but if they don't die, then is it really a death flag? So it's a fake death flag.
Makarov is kind of like the Jiraiya, or the
Yes, he's the old mentor who dies to pave way for the new generation, but he never does that in the entire series. So maybe he's a stagnant old man who really should have gone a while ago. Like, see, I don't even remember, like, cause like right now, Macau is he's the guild master, and they haven't really, I don't think they've, figured that out yet, cause he's the 4th guild master. There are some shenanigans later, but I forget if he, like, yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll see. I mean, with Makarov,
it's not that a character needs to die to pass the torch, but at the same time, it's like, why are you gonna tease all these death flags if? That's the iffy part, right? But I get, and it is like everyone's will to fight is rewarded because Mavis is like, oh, this, well, because like she even says like that. The fairy spear, she didn't just magically save them. It was powered by their feelings, their emotions. So, the guild Makarov built to, I guess it is also them surpassing him. Like he's ready to die because, he's he's kind of holding on, I guess, like, but no, you're not allowed to die.
No, right. They continue to surpass him, and because of that, everyone gets to live. So, again, it's like the death flags thing is dumb, but at least it works, But yeah, because Aknologit flies up, and he basically Etherions the island. Well, not really, because it gets time warped into the future, as we've come to find out. How did you feel actually reading through this? Because you're like, because I know
it was weird. Like, we have a whole chapter where it's just the aftermath with like none of the characters that were involved, and so, and like, basically all of the main characters who will be relevant were like in that thing. So we're just we spent a chapter just with like these side people who like we've seen them around, but they never really got a ton of focus. So it was
right, and now they're like the lead members of the guild because they're the only members of the guild. Like even like it's almost like I feel like the team up setup with bringing in like allowing the characters to bring in extra members. Like Wendy wouldn't have been involved in the arc if not for Mest bringing her along as a partner. So it's like he pulled, and even Laxus showed up at the end to kind of just to show up and get sent every important member left pretty much. So it's like, because if Laxus was still in Fairy Tail, things would have been super different. Like if Hiro the guild vanished and just went back to the guild, like it might have been rough. But like after 7 years, that's like he would have basically been the guild master, and like it would have been completely different. So it's like he kind of had to, because if any of the notable members stayed, it would have been different. So
I don't know, like, in a way it seems like the time skip will be like, it was constructed in such a way that it can have like the least impact on the narrative as possible, other than like maybe Zeref gets to arbitrarily determine a new era and move.
Yeah. That might happen.
I mean, because like even in that case, it could have just been the way he was talking. It's like, well, it could have just been as simple as, okay, the Hades killed Makarov something, so new era starts now. Like that has happened before. Like characters have just kind of been like declared a new era in the moment.
Yeah, Blackbeard. This is my era, for example.
Like there doesn't necessarily.
No, I mean it hasn't like been like no one agrees yet because he hasn't done but we'll see what happens. There's still more to that story.
It is just a weird time skip because we don't really see any redesigns because again like all the main characters were preserved in this time.
Yes, exactly. Some of the side characters, like not even like when Lamia Scale comes back, like they look about the same even though they're 7 years older. Like Leon and Gray were the same age. Now Leon's 7 years older. And he still looks basically the same as he did, Like, the Fairy Tail characters had redesigns, like, some of them, like, Warren looks the same, but, like, the one dude has Macau has a mustache, Droy got fat because I mean, reading this chapter, it was, like, kind of sad just seeing how far they've, like, fallen without, they lost so much of their they lost a huge part of their family, and they fell. Like, the guild just, like, collapsed, basically. Like, even, like, I mean, I guess what I kind of saw from it is that, like, they have this, like, free spirit and stuff, but, like, power also matters, you know, and without power, like, they just get completely run over. But they also just don't have a will to fight. Like, Macau has a really interesting contrast where it's like, he gets kicked and he's like, don't lay a finger on them. Like, he's pushing his guild not to fight, you know, because they might, you know, suffer for fighting, when after an arc that was all about, like, you know, if you value your comrades, fight for them, you know, like.
It's also weird because, like, if there were going to be any implications from Fairy Tail's status changing, it's going to be undone pretty much immediately because all the core group is back, and so it's just like the Fairy Tail of old. So.
Not quite. There's reasons, but you'll see those next time, in a couple weeks when you do the reading. But anyway, so yeah, everyone's sad because the guild is gone and Fairy Tail has suffered for it. Like, now they're not even in the town anymore. So guildarts will have an easier time getting back because they're not in the town.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, figured it out. But anyway, so after their mourning, you know, after the 7-year anniversary, Blue Pegasus comes in and it's like, hey, everything's fine. And so they set out, and they're able to pick up the group. And you get like, Twilight Ogre comes in and, like, it gets wrecked, and it's kind of satisfying because they were assholes, and you get to see everyone again. No redesigns, but whatever.
I did think it was kind of weird too, with just like the nature of the spell. It's like, oh, it will, like, your efforts were poured into this magic, but the secret fairy, I forget what it was called, but the secret magic, it has a 7-year. You know, it preserves you for 7 years, and it's like, that's an arbitrary number. It seems like a pretty costly side effect.
Right? Like, it just works. So, exactly as needed for the story. What do you know? Like, I remember hearing the suggestion that, like, part of the reason was for the 7-year time skip was because, like pretty much, like, okay, we know about Zareth. And, like, but like, there was the Balam Alliance of the 3 Dark Guilds, and 2 of them are taken out. So there's pretty much, like, antagonist-wise, there's Raventail, and then there's Tartaros, which was the 3rd one in the Alliance. And they just did nothing for 7 years, or maybe they did, we don't know, because we don't know anything about Tartaros. And, of course, what's Raventail been up to? With the, you know, Laxus's dad, who's supposed to be a big sneaky deal. So it's like, I don't know. I remember hearing the idea that, oh, the 7 years were so there could be more antagonists, but, like, that actually didn't really happen. I don't know, but we'll see what happens going forward. So yeah, everyone comes back. They hear a little bit about what happened in those 7 years. We got other guild members coming in, like Lemay Scale comes in to say hi. I do like the one panel of, like, Juvia imagining, like, the love mess.
Yeah.
Mostly because, like, the little face things are cuter than normal, and I was like, they're drawn differently. Did Mashima draw these? Or, like, because it's a slightly different style, so that's what caught my eye about it. Like, it's almost maybe a bit more shoujo-y, if that's what he was going for, possibly. Like, it still looks very close to Fairy Tail. Like, I wouldn't call it, like, oh, it looks like a shoujo, but it looks like, I don't know, maybe that's what looks different about it to me. It looks slightly more, I don't know, that's just what I thought. Because, of course, Leon sees Juvia and immediately falls in love with her, because, oh god, why? Oh, and I didn't notice, but on her thing, she has gray with a love heart pointing to Leon. I didn't notice that before. Oh yeah, and so anyway, we get to the last part of this stretch of chapters, a little Lucy arc with her dad.
This was good. I liked this.
Yes, because we talked about it in private where it's like, we almost, like, I think what you said was, like, if not for the time skip stuff, I might have cried. Like, the build-up wasn't quite, I guess, because of all the other stuff going on, you know. And I definitely had, like, when reading it, like, I felt feels, you know. I didn't cry, but I felt feels, because Lucy consistently is, like, the best girl. I don't know how Mashima did it, but Lucy
I think
good.
she has the most interesting character arc by a decent margin up to this point.
Yeah, like Urza's had some moments that I've liked. Even Natsu, the Gildarts moment is fine. Like honestly, like going through this arc again, Natsu, I guess maybe I appreciate him a little better. I don't know. I don't feel any stronger towards him, or more or less. So yeah, but yeah, there's the whole thing with, like, the 7 years back rent, which is like, it shouldn't work that way. But
I mean, like, I was wondering, like, I was like, okay, what's going to be the punchline here? Is it going to be that she got evicted and someone else is in the apartment and so she's lost her home, or is it 7
But no, it's actually like they
rent?
no one gave up hope. Like even Lucy's dad was still sending presents because it's like because he's dead, but these presents arrived because he never gave up hope that his daughter would return. So it's like there's a positive thinking, a faith aspect to it.
And also the setup for it was kind of obvious. Like when they did the moment with Gildarts and Kana, and Lucy was like, "Oh, I should see my dad." I was like, "He's dead, isn't he?"
Yeah, see, I didn't even think about that because I knew, obviously, rereading it, but it's like, that's funny that, the way you came to that conclusion. It's like, yeah, he's dead, isn't he?
Just like, why would Mashima call attention to this if not to gut punch you?
Right? And, because Lucy was like, I'm not sure if I want to, I can cry. And, there's the bit where, the other two, random girls are, bitching about their dad. I remember finding this funny back when I first reread this because it's like, it has to be outside characters because no one in Fairy Tail has a dad, which isn't really true, but it's just, I just thought it was funny because it's like, how else would Mashima call attention to this except with characters outside of Fairy Tail because no one has parents. I'm bullying orphans, I'm sorry. I'm turning into Sakura.
Yeah, no one in Fairy Tail has dads,
except for all the
says in the very arc where we learn that a character has a dad.
I'm being hyperbolic. No, it's fine. But yeah, you get Lucy does go home, she finds out that, the rent was paid by her dad, and she gets the letter from, and, I guess, she wasn't sure if she should cry because she didn't know how her father felt about her, and, seeing these presents, these emotions of just, the 7 years of him always thinking about her, even when she's gone, and he did love her, and then that's when she cries, when it becomes mutual.
The little moment where it's like, oh, because he remembered her birthday all those years after so many years of not remembering, and it's like, oh.
Yes, it was. I had some feels at this moment too, and there's also, I skipped over it because I wanted to talk about Lucy stuff, but I do like the moment where Makarov is talking to Twilight Ogre, the guildmaster, about the debts and stuff. And I like how he flips it on them because he's like, he's wants Makarov to pay up, and then he brings up the fact that they wounded some of the Twilight Ogre guild members, and he's the one who starts out turning wounds and pain into something, a matter of currency. And so Makarov flips that back on me. He's like, "Oh yeah, well you have 7 years of pain to repay, and we're here to make you pay it." And it's just, I felt it was good. And I was like, yes. So, and they just fucking trash houses. So that was satisfying. I did like that moment. Is there a little more left, or was that the last chapter? I think it perfectly ends on the volume.
I noticed another Mashima trademark that has really been showing up a lot in Fairy Tail is the characters just butting heads and just getting in each other's face.
Yeah, that's even on the thumbnail for this image of with Hades and Makarov, even though they don't do it in the series. So you're right. And I used another thumbnail like that back for the last Rave episode with Haru and Lucia. So he does do that a lot. You're right. And that is the reading. I double checked with the volume, and that was it ends perfectly on the volume, so that's nice. So yeah, I definitely appreciate this arc more going back to it. I was surprised at how there's the dumb things. It's Mashima. There's always gonna be the dumb things, but I'd still put this as probably, would I put it? No, Tenrou Island is... Oh, see, that's the other thing. We never even really talked about the name of the island arc, because it's like the translation, it was Sirius Island, but I'm used to Tenrou Island, because that was what that's another name thing. So, I'm trying to think, do I like this arc more? I guess it's probably in my top 3 at least. I don't know exactly where I'd rank it, but I did enjoy the arc. Somehow. What about you? Because I know for you it was back to normal.
Yeah, I don't know where this would fit in my arc rankings. I don't think I liked it as much as Edalus. Just
That's fair.
On the
whole.
Well,
because Edalus you can actually connected to and wanted to. You got invested. You wanted to read into it. And the discussion was better for it. With Tenrou, you're obviously like, back to normal, and that's understandable. I didn't expect you to like it a lot, or any more, really, so that's fine. Do you even have an arc ranking, or do you still need to do that?
No, I think I've started it, but I'm probably a couple arcs behind.
I am too. I'm just looking at Edos isn't ranked either. Which also might end up being high because like that discussion was fun. Like maybe I'm remembering the discussion more than the arc itself. I need to be careful when ranking the arcs because if we rank Nen Show episodes, that's a whole different ball game. So yeah, and yeah, there we go. That is the Tenrou Island arc. We're not chapter wise. We are not halfway done, but episode wise, we are more than halfway done. Next time, we will be reading The Grand Magic Games, which it's going to be a long reading. It's chapter 258 to 340, so that's like 80 chapters, 82 chapters. Yeah, this is a long one, because like I said, it could basically be split into 2 arcs, so we're getting to the point in the Shounen series where all the arcs are long. Like, that's just how it seems to be. Like, because this was, I think, the longest single arc, because like the longest episode chapter-wise was the Euracean Stace and the Fairy Festival. That was 2 distinct arcs. This was 1 arc and like a couple chapters of a time skip. So like, I think Tenrou is the longest arc so far as single arcs go, because oh boy, it was long. And I think they only get longer from here. Like, no, there's a couple, one or 2 shorter ones, but it's mostly like big old arcs. So yay! All right, thank you for listening. Listen to us on Anchor. The links will be in the description. Don't you worry. And I guess we'll keep doing the MP3 links for if someone just wants to download it.
Yeah, I figure it's probably better to have them in multiple places, just on the off chance something goes down.
Right. So now we have YouTube, Google Drive for the MP3s, and now Anchor, and you can listen to it. On Spotify too. So, all right. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye.